When the lights go down in the city and the sun sets on the bay, the Blues get ready to play. Live from San Bruno City Park in the South Bay of San Francisco, the Blues play against the San Francisco Seagulls for their 14th game of the summer. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside the broadcast booth at the San Bruno City Park. My name is Nate Mills on the call for you on SBSN. SLO Blues getting ready to play against the San Francisco Seagulls. Leg 2 in this 4-game road trip for San Luis Obispo. Yesterday, they dropped a big one against the Menlo Park Legends to the tune of 14-2. Bats were hot for the Menlo Park Legends early on, but it just took one inning for the errors to come alive and pass balls to ensue. Free runs coming in to score for Menlo Park, but at that point the game had already been somewhat over off a grand slam hit in the 5th inning from Will Robbins to make it an 8-1 ball game. That was a big gun punch for San Luis Obispo because before that they were only trailing 4-1. They were still very much in that game, and that long ball to bring in all 4 runs on the bases really hit in the chest for San Luis Obispo. It was really tough to come back from after that. Hawk Hill went pretty long distances yesterday against the Legends. He went 4 innings of work, allowed 10 hits, 8 runs, all of them earned a walk and 2 strikeouts. Now, 4 innings doesn't sound long, but if you look at how his outing went that day, giving up those 10 runs and those 8 hits, it certainly felt long. And that's going to be a theme for this Blues pitching staff this weekend as well here in this Northern California trip. Dean Traynor is going to have guys stay out there for a lot longer because they only brought a certain amount of pitchers on this road trip with them. So Dean doesn't want to spend all of his pitchers on one game. He wants them throughout the rest of this series. There are 2 games left after this one. They're both at Walnut Creek. But for now, the San Francisco Seagulls stand in the way of San Luis Obispo, who just dropped a game against the Legends, a big one at that. Well, the Seagulls are kind of hobbling into this contest as well. They're playing their 7th game of the summer, and they're currently 1-5. They've dropped 4 in a row after beating the Sonoma Stompers in Game 1, 9-0 at their own crib in Sonoma, California. That was a statement win. I think all of us had our heads turned to San Francisco, but since then they've dropped 4 in a row and just haven't looked the best since. The offense hasn't been clicking. The pitching hasn't been clicking, and it's a big moment for San Luis Obispo to get a statement victory against San Francisco after falling the way they did yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends. Jackson Howell is getting the start today for San Luis Obispo. He's making his first start of the summer for the Blues after being a very consistent starter last year for the Blues. He's only made 2 appearances this year. He's pitched in 2 innings. There's been some suspect about his health status. He threw a bullpen yesterday at College of San Mateo. Looked pretty good there. Dean Traynor liked what he saw, and Howell will get the nod today. So with potential injury concerns looming, you got to wonder, how is Dean Traynor going to balance the health of Jackson Howell versus using him as long as he can so he doesn't have to go into the bullpen too much? That's the status of the pitching right now. There are still some options for Traynor in that pen, but some new faces arrived today for San Luis Obispo too. That's right. We're still seeing new players come into the roster here early on in the summer. Andrew Raymond, a left-handed hitting outfielder from Santa Clara University, looked like a horse in the batting practice bubble today. He was smashing baseballs left and right, and I'm very excited to see what he can do in that corner outfield spot at Sinsheimer Stadium. A stacked outfield for San Luis Obispo, might I add, with Royal in center, Jordan in right, and Ashlock in left. Then you add Andrew Raymond in there. It's just a pretty big logjam for that outfield on the SLO Blues. Well, the Blues are about to get set to play against the San Francisco Seagulls at 6:05 p.m. They're really needing a bounce-back win after the big loss yesterday. Seagulls are trying to turn the page somehow, some way, as they sit in last place in the CCL North. I'm looking at the standings here, and as a reminder, for the postseason, which is a long ways ahead here in this summer, the top 3 teams in the CCL North and in the CCL South make the postseason. And if the season were to end today, the Walnut Creek Crawdads would have the 1 seed. The Alameda Merchants would have the 2 seed, and the SLO Blues with the 3 seed. 1.5 games behind the Walnut Creek Crawdads, who dropped the first game of their conference summer, and then after that have gone on a 4-game win streak. Them and the Santa Barbara Foresters are 2 of the hottest teams in the CCL right now, and the SLO Blues got them tomorrow. But for now, it is the San Francisco Seagulls. We're about to get underway here from San Bruno City Park. Thank you for tuning in to the Ancient Owl pregame show, and a hello to everyone at Ancient Owl Brewery watching this pregame show. Once again, appreciate Ancient Owl all for their support of the San Luis Obispo Blues and for this pregame show and for hosting this watch party. All right, we're going to send down to the field, and we'll be back right after this on the Slow Blues Streaming Network.
Hello. Welcome, Seagulls fans. Welcome. Welcome, Seagulls fans. Who's ready for a great day of baseball? If you have not already, go grab your rally towel. Today is our rally towel giveaway.
Football, and they have a player bringing in the flag.
Follow my lead, Simon says, paper, paper,
Montiel's getting in the truck.
Good evening, Seagulls fans. Welcome to Tom Lehrer Field and the CCL game between your San Francisco Seagulls and the visiting San Luis Obispo Blues. We have a great game lined up for you tonight, so sit back, relax, and enjoy some baseball. Now let's give a warm welcome to the St. Louis Blues starting lineup. Batting first, center fielder, number 50, E.J. Royal. Batting second, shortstop, number 55, Sam Ardoin. Batting third, DH, number 18, Donovan Jordan. Batting fourth, left fielder, number 51, Mason Ashlock. Batting fifth, first baseman, number 22, Zach Tallerman. Batting sixth, right fielder, number 25, Kosei Andrews. And don't forget, fans, he is our hot dog batter brought to you by AWC. If he strikes out, it's half-price hot dogs for the next half inning. Batting seventh, catcher, number 28, Cam Andrews. Batting eighth, second baseman, number 7, Diego Murillo. And batting ninth, at third base, number 30, Caden Cusia. And pitching tonight for the St. Louis Blues, number 8, Jackson Howe. And now let's introduce your San Francisco Seagulls starting lineup. In center field, we have number 25, Ben Koch. Batting second, left fielder, number 22, Miles Callinger. Batting third, right fielder, number 40, Jackson Landry. Batting fourth, catcher, number 16, Ethan Johnson. In the fifth spot, we got first baseman, number 36, Derek Waldvogel. Batting sixth, third baseman, number 27, Nav Sundar. Batting seventh, DH, number 30, Finn Whalen. Batting eighth, shortstop, number 9, Jalen Hodges. And batting ninth, at second base, we got number 7, Alan Ramirez. And pitching tonight for your Seagulls, we have number 10, Ben Eisenhaven. Now, please rise and remove your caps for the national anthem. Play ball.
Yes, sir. We are ready to rock here from Northern California, Lara Field at San Bruno Park in South Bay, San Francisco. The San Luis Obispo Blues and the Menlo Park Legends here on this evening in Northern California. Here's the starting lineup for your Blues. Leading it off, it's none other than E.J. Royal. He'll play center field with Sam Ardois over at short, batting second. Don Jordan DHs and bats third. He returns to the lineup after getting hit by a pitch in the forearm. Mason Ashlock is today's left fielder, batting fourth for the Blues. Zach Tellerman returns to the Blues lineup after playing against the Stompers 6 days ago over at first base and batting fifth. Kosei Suzuki playing in right field and batting sixth. Cam Andrews throwing down the signs and batting seventh, with Diego Murillo playing second base and batting eighth. Caden Cuccia manning the hot corner as the only left-handed batter in tonight's lineup, and he will bat ninth for your San Luis Obispo Blues. Here's a defensive alignment for the San Francisco Seagulls. Behind the dish, it's Ethan Johnson. Over at first base, it's Darren Waldvogel. And at second base, Alan Ramirez, with Nav Sundar at third. Jaden Hodges at shortstop. In the outfield left to right is Miles Callinger, Ben Koch, and Jackson Landry. DHing is Finn Whalen, and on the mound for the Seagulls, it's the left-handed pitcher from Cal State East Bay, Ben Eisenhower. Eisenhower entering a grad season with the Pioneers this year and is playing in this summer with the Seagulls to get some extra reps and potentially find a new school to call home. So Royal leads it off. He led off yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends in the Blues' tragic 14-2 loss against Menlo. He recorded a couple of base hits in his last two at-bats, so somewhat salvaged the day. As we're ready to go here in San Bruno. First pitch at 6:13 p.m., missing high and inside. 6:13, and the game time temperature is 61 degrees and sunny. Here's a liner through the 5-5 hole, a base hit. E.J. Royal starts off with a bang, a leadoff base runner for the Blues. There goes the no-hitter for Ben Eisenhower.
Now batting, number 55, Sam Ardoin.
E.J. Royal caught all of that baseball through the 5 hole, and just no chance there for the shortstop Hodges to make a play on it. So here's Sam Ardois now. 1 for 4 afternoon yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends. He walked and stole a bag as well. Leadoff single for Royal, a short lead at first base. Here's the first pitch. Ardois watches the breaking pitch outside. It kicks off the glove of the backstop, and Royal heads into second base standing. A pass ball from Ethan Johnson, and all of a sudden, the first run of the ball game in scoring position for the Blues. Royal obviously with some speed over at second base, being the leadoff man and the center fielder for San Luis Obispo. Here's the pitch to Ardois. And Sam hits it right up the middle, off the mat, and into center field for a base hit. He rounds first. E.J. Royal rounds third. No throw at the plate. Blues strike first. RBI single. Sam Ardois, 1-0, San Luis Obispo. That's just a nice piece of hitting there from Sam Ardois. Return to sender from Ben Eisenhower. A couple weird hops coming off the mound. A tough play for the second baseman and Alan Ramirez to make. No throw coming home. Simple as that. 2 hits in a row. Blues are on the board. So here's Don Jordan now. He was hit by a pitch yesterday against the Legends. Jordan first pitch swinging and fouls it straight back for strike one. And Jordan was hit on his back right forearm in yesterday's game, and he had to come out, and Brady Alves replaced him in right field. Jordan did run the bases, but was forced out at second base on a Gavin Smith groundout. It's good to see him up and moving around today, wearing an arm sleeve on that right arm now with a United States Baseball armband. Here's the 0-1, and Jordan hits it high in the air to right field. Giving chase and making the catch is Landry, who actually bobbles it out of his glove. Throw is high as it comes into the infield. An error from the right fielder Landry keeps the inning alive. It's kind of tough to tell with how the shadows cascaded over in right field. He sort of ran into the darkness. Looked like he made an easy play, but I think might have lost it potentially in those shadows. Either way, it puts Don Jordan at first base with that E9. So now Sam Ardois at second, Don Jordan at first, and Mason Ashlock up. No outs, and a runner in scoring position for the Blues. Look at second base. Here's the first pitch. And Ashlock scooches out of the way of a fastball inside, ball 1. Ashlock yesterday an RBI single in the 3rd inning, and that would be the only Blues run for another 6 frames up until the 9th inning, where E.J. Royal hit an RBI single to score Brendan Comerford, who's not in the lineup today. Long pause. Here's the 1-0. Pitch missing high and outside. Hitters count to Mason Ashlock. A chilly night here in the San Francisco Bay. When is it not? You know how the old saying goes. The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. You can see that here with Ashlock wearing that mock neck. 2-0. And Mason watches the four-seamer inside. 4 strike, 2-1 to Mason Ashlock, the former Coyote from Weatherford College, getting a first taste on Northern California weather, being a Texas boy. Runners on first and second. Here's the 2-1. Ashlock swings and hits a high bouncing ball to the shortstop. They'll go to second for 1. The throw onto first loops over, and it's not in time to get Mason Ashlock. So the Seagulls turn one leg of the double play, but can't get Ashlock over at first base. That'll move Sam Ardois to third, and Mason Ashlock will remain at first base. Seagulls finally get their first out of the inning. Don Jordan retired at second. He was the force out there. So now it's Zach Tollerman making his return to this Blues roster almost 6 days after playing. And check that. This is Brendan Comerford actually batting instead of Tollerman. Comerford hits it high and deep to right field, but it will be out of play and foul. So this is not Zach Tollerman. A last-minute lineup adjustment brings Brendan Comerford in to hit for ZT. I can imagine that Comerford will be playing first base as well. This change was not communicated to us in the press box, so it's Brendan Comerford, the former Ohlone College Renegade, with a runner on first and second and 1 out. Brennan hits it hard into left field, going back and making the grab in left, as Ardois will score easily on the sacrifice fly from Brendan Comerford. So it's not Zach Tollerman, but a run still comes in to score on that sac fly in the second out of the inning for the Blues.
And he is our hot dog batter of the day.
2 runs in the top of the first inning. 2 of the leadoff singles have scored for the Blues, and that's what you like to see. Ever since then, an error by the right fielder and a force from Ashlock. He's on base. Ashlock stayed at first base on that sac fly. So here's Kosei Suzuki with a runner on first. First pitch swinging and through the 5-5 pole for a base hit. Ashlock stays at second. Suzuki rounds first, and a 2-out base hit for Kosei Suzuki. 3 hits in the inning for San Luis Obispo. It's 2-0 Blues, and here comes Cam Andrews, the former San Francisco State Gator.
Batting number 28, Cam Andrews.
Andrews getting a start today after pinch hitting in Game 2 against the Menlo Park Legends at home in Sinsheimer Stadium. He pinch hit for Sean Strittmatter, who is not on this road trip here in Northern California. And against the Legends, he was hit by a pitch. First pitch to Andrews is low and outside, ball 1. Mason Ashlock in scoring position. He's at second. And Kosei Suzuki at first with the single. 3 hits in the inning for the Blues, producing 2 runs. Long hold. Here's the 1-0 to Andrews. And Cam hits it off the screen behind home plate for strike 1. 1-1 count to the Golden Gator, Cam Andrews, who has forcibly hit the transfer portal after his program up at SF State went under. Some budget cuts at San Francisco State University, and a lot of players looking for some new schools as well. Andrews is one of the 20 players on this Blues roster in the transfer portal, and a part of the 5,000 and counting in the NCAA. Here's the 1-1. Andrews takes a looping curveball high for ball 2. Diego Murillo stands on deck with those bright cherry batting gloves. Andrews, last time he started a game, it was Game 1 against Menlo Park Friday at Sinsheimer. Went 0 for 2 there, a couple of walks and a strikeout. 2-1 is a high pop-up. It'll be out of play. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andrews always puts together a tough at-bat for the Blues. Never an easy out for opposing teams. And not the thing you want to hear if you're the Seagulls. You're trying to get out of this inning as soon as possible, recording those 2 leadoff singles. A drop fly ball and right. Sacrifice fly from Comerford to bring in Ardois. The 2-2. Andrews watches a changeup flutter outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the first inning here at Laura Field at San Bruno City Park. The SLO Blues and the San Francisco Seagulls. Game 7 of CCL play for the Blues. The 3-2. Andrews flares it up and off to the right, out of play. We'll do it again at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Both runners taking off on the full count with 2 outs. Don Jordan was forced out at second base after reaching on an error by the right fielder, a drop fly ball. And a sac fly from Brendan Comerford are your 2 outs in the top of the inning. Blues striking early, a 2-0 lead. Cam Andrews in a 3-2 count against Ben Eisenhower. Deep sigh. Here's the pitch. Andrews chops it behind home plate. We'll once again do it at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Andrews this summer batting at a .273 clip, making his 5th start for the Blues. Has driven in 3 runs so far on his 3 hits. Walked 5 times, only struck out once. This is coming in 16 plate appearances. 3-2. Andrews fouls it straight back, staying alive in the at-bat. Once again, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Andrews takes his time getting back in the box, holding the end of his barrel, and taking a one-handed hack. Runners on first and second. Here's Eisenhower on the 3-2. Andrews takes outside for ball 4. First Blues batter this inning to not put a baseball in play. A 2-out walk to the catcher, Cam Andrews, and that brings up Diego Murillo. That walk will load the bases for the Blues, with Andrews at first, Suzuki at second, and Ashlock at third. And already in the top half of this inning, a meeting at the mound between the catcher Johnson and the pitcher Eisenhower. Murillo making his 5th start of the summer with the Blues. 4 for 14 and a .286 batting average. A real nice glove over at shortstop too, but now that Sam Ardois has joined the party, Murillo getting kicked over to second base. Caden Cuchilla stands on deck. He's playing third base today. Last time Murillo appeared in a ball game, it was game 1 against the Legends on Friday at Sinsheimer. Here he is with the bases loaded. Murillo watches the first pitch changeup in there for a strike. And that game 1 against Menlo Park last Friday, he went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He makes those ground balls at shortstop and at second base look so easy to field, especially on a surface like Sinsheimer, even here at Laura Field. 0-1. Murillo tied up on a breaking ball, but it misses low, a ball and a strike. Murillo in the transfer portal after a couple of seasons at Cuesta and a year at Northeastern States in Oklahoma. Here's the 1-1. Murillo gets hit on the elbow, looked like, and it's actually a pass ball, and Ashlock will score easily. A pass ball that thought it hit off the elbow of Diego Murillo, went right into the backstop, and Mason Ashlock scored the easy run. 3-0 Blues in the top half of the first inning. Both runners moved up a base each. There's runners at second and third now for San Luis Obispo. Murillo in a 2-1 count against Ben Eisenhower, just trying to get out of this inning. The 2-1. Murillo watches it skip on top of home plate. He tells Suzuki to hold up at third. 3 balls and a strike now to Murillo. Diego from San Luis Obispo went to Slow High. He's a Tiger. And of course went to Cuesta, formerly a Riverhawk, now the transfer portal for his senior year. Pitch gets away from the catcher Johnson. Here comes Suzuki. There's no coverage at home plate. A walk to Diego Murillo, but heads up base running from Kosei Suzuki. The bench loves it. It's a 4-0 ball game at the top of the first. So here's Caden Cuccia. Back-to-back walks from Ben Eisenhower with 2 outs in the top of the first. After allowing that run to come in on the sacrifice fly from Comerford, that was the second out of the inning. Since then, a single and 2 walks, producing 2 runs for the Blues. Murillo heads off towards second base. The throw down almost goes into center, but a nice play by Hodges to keep it in. So runners at second and third now. Diego Murillo stolen bag. And for Murillo, that's his 4th stolen base of the summer. So here's Cuccia making his 6th start for the Blues. 2 hits in his 14 at-bats, a sub-200 batting average. Swings and misses here for strike. Oh, and 2 count to Caden Cuccia. The leadoff man, E.J. Royal, stands on deck. Runners at second and third. Blues up 4-0 in the top of the first inning. The 0-2. Cuccia watches a fastball outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Caden. Caden on our way up to San Francisco. We passed by his junior college at Kenyatta College, where he batted north of 300 for the Colts in his first true season of college baseball. 1-2. Cuccia waves and misses at the sweeper for strike 3. But not before the Blues cash in 4 runs on 3 hits, and they strand a runner at third base. 4-0 San Luis Obispo, heading to the bottom half of the first inning on the SLO Blues streaming network. Blues strike first in the top half of the first inning here at Lara Field at San Bruno Park here in South Bay of San Francisco. It's a 4-0 ball game in the bottom half of the first as Ben Koch leads off for the San Francisco Seagulls. Miles Callinger follows him with Jackson Landry batting third, Ethan Johnson batting fourth, Derek Vogel batting fifth, Nev Sumdar bats sixth with Finn Whalen batting seventh. Jalen Hodges, the shortstop, bats eighth with Alan Ramirez rounding it out in the ninth spot. On the mound for the San Luis Obispo Blues, making his first start of the summer, it's Jackson Howell, the right-hander from Cuesta College. First pitch to Koch is a fastball in there for a strike. 0-1 to Ben Koch, one of the 2 left-handed hitters in today's lineup for the San Francisco Seagulls. The lefty swirls his bat around next to his armpit and waves and misses at the off-speed for strike 2. Koch, an outfielder from the University of Louisiana Monroe. Same state as the shortstop Sam Artois, who is a former Raging Cajun from the University of Louisiana Lafayette. Although Koch grew up in Texas. He swings and misses here for strike 3. Jackson Howell pulls the string and collects the first out of the inning via strikeouts. And Howell just had Koch fooled that entire at-bat. First with the taken fastball, and I think that's where Koch lost it. That's a pitch that he could have driven into right field for Suzuki. And then after that, a couple of off-speed pitches got Koch to chase. So 1 out, a quick first out here for Howell as Miles Callinger steps up to the dish, choking up on that bat. First pitch to him. It's a fastball down the middle for a strike. Callinger, a rising junior and a Don at the University of San Francisco. He's played in 3 games so far this summer and is 1 for 7 with the Seagulls. Here's the 0-1. And Callinger watches that outside, a ball and a strike to Miles Callinger. A couple seasons ago, in his first year with the Dons, he was named WCC All-Freshman Team Honors. That's the West Coast Conference where the Dons play. A .278 batting average, a .308 slugging, and a .372 on base. Here's the 1-1. Callinger puts it in the air over the glove of Comerford at first base for a base hit. Sharp turn at first. He slips on the dirt, retreats back to the bag. A 1-out single for Miles Callinger, hot off the press. There goes the no-hitter for Jackson Howell. A runner at first with 1 out for Jackson Landry. And Landry trying to shake off that play in right field. He tried to catch a fly ball in the shadows caused by the pine trees at foul ground and right, and just completely came out of his glove. He can redeem himself here with the bat. Here's the first pitch, and he barrels it into left field. Ashlock sizes it up and makes the flat-footed grab for the easy second out in the first inning. So Jackson Howell gets out number 2 on just 1 pitch, and in comes Ethan Johnson. Johnson, the second left-handed hitting batter in today's lineup, playing catcher today for the Menlo Park Legends and cleaning it up. Trying to do his job description here with a runner on first base. Johnson is a catcher and utility man from San Jose, California. He's also committed to play SEC baseball at Mizzou. Pretty big lead at first for Callinger. Here's the first pitch. Callinger takes off to second. Here's the throw down to the bag. It's on the money from Andrews, but across the body, Artois had to go. The tag's not in time. A stolen base for Miles Callinger. Puts a runner in scoring position for the Seagulls. And that pitch was a called strike on the left-handed hitting Ethan Johnson. 0-1 now. 4 hits so far this summer in his 15 at-bats, 2 of them for extra bases. Both of them are doubles. The 0-1. Pitch missing high and outside. A ball and a strike now. Johnson has driven in 3 runs this summer as well. And in his freshman season at King Academy, a .377 batting average in 25 games played. He drove in 30 on his 29 base hits. 5 homers paired with 9 doubles, too. The 1-1. Pitch just missing inside. 2 balls and a strike to Ethan Johnson. A runner at second base now, and Miles Callinger, who stole a bag. Andrews with a nice throw, but not on target. Artois had to come across from his right shoulder down to his left to make the tag. Pitch bounces in the dirt. Andrews keeps it in front, and Callinger stays at second base. And it looks like it actually hit the shoe tops of Ethan Johnson. So a hit by pitch from Jackson Howell, and a runner at first and second now. So with 2 outs, a hit by pitch to Ethan Johnson brings up Derek Waldvogel, the first baseman. And 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Here's Waldvogel waiting the first offering from Howell. First pitch. Missing outside, ball 1. Waldvogel from San Mateo, California. Just a quick drive here to San Bruno. 6'2", 210-pound freshman at Skyline Community College. 1-0. Another miss outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Waldvogel. Waldvogel has redshirted his past 2 seasons with the Trojans. has yet to have a college at bat, or at least that's what the website says for Skyline Community College. Well, for now, he's 2 of 12 on the summer with the Seagulls and is playing in his 6th game. Here's a 2-0. Runner heads off to third. Andrews won't throw. A successful stolen third base for Miles Callinger. And Johnson, I think there might have been some miscommunication there, was supposed to be a double steal, but Ethan Johnson, the catcher, stays at first. So runners at the corners for San Francisco. Pitch is in there for a strike. 4-0 ball game. Blues lead in the bottom half of the first inning. They struck first. Scored 4 runs on 3 hits. Howell from the stretch. Strides and shoots. Fastball off the hands, popped up and playable in the infield. Murillo calls off Comerford and makes the flat-footed grab for the third out of the inning. The Seagulls strand 2 runners on and get a base hit from Miles Callinger, but that'll be it. 4-0 San Luis Obispo heading into the second inning on the SLO Blues streaming network. Seagulls looking for a much cleaner inning in the top half of the second. The Blues batted around in the top half of the first, brought in 4 runs on 3 hits. Only 1 of those runs were earned. So now it's E.J. Royal leading it off for San Luis Obispo, wearing that Under Armour turtleneck around his neck. First pitch is a slider in there for a strike. And kind of a funny orientation here at Laura Field with the way the trees are situated out and right. The sun is setting behind us. That's where the coast is. You can see the wind blowing from right to left too, as we're here in the San Francisco Bay Area. That pitch misses high. 1 ball and 1 strike to E.J. Royal. South of the peninsula, below SF, we're in San Bruno playing against the San Francisco Seagulls. Here's the 1-1. E.J. leaves it outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Either way, the weather is pretty cold here. And I think some guys like Mason Ashlock, who are from Texas, some out-of-staters, weren't anticipating this cold weather. You just think California, it's warm in the summer. Pitch misses behind home plate and in the dirt. 3 balls and a strike to E.J. Royal. Royal is a California kid, though, growing up in Arroyo Grande, not too far from Sinsheimer Stadium. Grew up going to Blues games. Went to AG High School, went to Cuesta College. He knows the cold. 3-1 is hit high and deep in the air to left field. Callinger giving chase at the fence. It's gone! E.J. Royal jump ship at Laura Field. 5-0 Blues. That's all barrel from E.J. Royal, and he'll touch them all. That ball just kept going and going and going, and it's tough to size up how far the fence is here at Laura Field. There's no labels, as these are temporary fences set up here at the park. Either way, this was launch, and I'd probably guess 380 feet off the bat of E.J. Royal. That was pieced. He's 2 for 2 today. He's starting to get hot again. Here's Ardois. First pitch is a curveball in there for a strike. That was a thing of beauty from E.J. Royal. Makes it a 5-0 game. And the Blues on the road, lately, have just been mashing the long ball, as Ardois is really on an off speed here and fouls it behind home plate. 0-2 to Sam Ardois. Trying to match the energy of Royals' home run. Ardois hit a home run himself at Sinsheimer Stadium, which is a lot harder to do. From the windup, here's the 0-2. And Sam dribbles it into the on-deck circle. Don Jordan tried to grab it. I would not advise doing that after his hit-by pitch yesterday, but he's all smiles right now on the on-deck circle. So Ardois again in a 2-strike count after singling in the first. He singled in an 0-2 count last time he was up. The pitch, well outside. Johnson comes out of his squat to get there. A ball and 2 strikes. Ardois yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends was 1 of 4, a walk and a stolen base. On pace to have a lot better summer than he did last year with the Blues. He chokes up on his bat on the 1-2 count. He awaits the offering from Ben Eisenhower. Here's the pitch. Ardois pops it up and will be out of play into the parking lot off to the right. We'll do it again at a ball and 2 strikes. Sam Ardois went to Texas his first year of college, didn't get any action, redshirted, transferred to Louisiana Lafayette, batted south of 200, and now in the transfer portal again. Here's the 1-2. Ardois spits on a slider, missing outside. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the second inning, Blues lead 5-0 over the San Francisco Seagulls now. E.J. Royal just hit a solo shot to start off the inning. Pitch missing outside, and now it's a 3-2 count to Sam Ardois. Very nice to work it from 0-2 to 3-2. And I think that's what Dean Traynor and crew are looking for in this Blues offense. A lot of patient at-bats, get yours and hammer it, kind of like what E.J. did. Here's the payoff pitch to Ardois. It swung on a hit hard in left field, and that will drop for a base hit. Callinger has to go a long way to get there. He can't glove it, and Ardois cruises into second base with the double. Back-to-back extra base hits for the Blues. It puts another runner in scoring position for Don Jordan.
Coming to the plate, number 18, Donovan Jordan.
And the Blues are seeing Ben Eisenhower well. Already the 5th hit of the day, not even through the second inning. Second extra base hit for the Blues, too. They scratched across 3 singles in the first and already a homer and a double here in the second. And here's a guy who knows a thing or two about extra base hits, Don Jordan. He reached on error back in the first inning, a drop fly ball by Landry in right field. Ardois at second, first pitch. Jordan takes it outside for ball 1. I was kind of talking about the weather right now in San Francisco and the shadows, the pine trees that aren't in play. It's got to be hard for these hitters to see with the entire batter's box covered in shadows and Eisenhower in the light. 1-0, a 50% swing and miss for a strike. 1-1 to Don Jordan. Jordan starting in his 13th game of the summer. Has only sat out 1 for the Blues, a .333 average. Hammers a hanging curveball into left center field. Coke giving chase, and he can't make the catch. Ardois rounds third. Jordan trots into second base. Don Jordan cashes in Sam Ardois and trades places. 6-0 San Luis Obispo in the second inning. Two doubles in a row for the Blues. No outs to be recorded in the second so far. A meeting at the mound between Johnson and Eisenhower. Eisenhower just getting pieced up by this Blues offense. And there's no life happening in the San Francisco bullpen as well. So they're going to ride with their left-hander, Ben Eisenhower.
Number 51, Mason Ashlock.
And instead of Sam Ardois at second base, it's Donovan Jordan. Here's Mason Ashlock, who reached on to fielder's choice and then came around to score on a wild pitch in the first. He scored the 3rd run of that inning. First pitch, And Ashlock watches the 50-foot fastball bounce in front of home plate. Jordan walks into third base easily on the wild pitch from Ben Eisenhower. Eisenhower wants a new baseball after that one got scuffed up. So Jordan now 90 feet away, makes that job for Ashlock a little bit easier, who drove in a run yesterday in his RBI single against the Legends. Already a 6-0 ball game here in the top of the second inning at Lara Field at San Bruno City Park. Beautiful night here in the Bay Area. Crystal clear skies. It was pretty foggy and cold and cloudy this morning. It's nice to see how it's turned around for game time. Ashlock watches the 1-0 high. Hitters count to Mason Ashlock, 2-0. Ashlock with his torpedo bat in the right-handed batter's box, also wearing a turtleneck, 2-0. And Mason watches a changeup in there for a strike. Caught the lower half of the zone, but he'll dig back in on the 2-1 count. Ashlock starting in his 8th game of the summer, has 13 hits in his 29 at-bats coming into this game, a .448 average. Having himself a summer. The pitch, left outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mason Ashlock. And I checked that 3-1 to Mason Ashlock here. Now Brendan Comerford stands on deck. Here's a 3-1. Ashlock will take it for ball 4. And a walk to Mason Ashlock keeps it going in the second. Seagulls have yet to record an out as the manager for San Francisco and Ryan Davis will head out to talk to his southpaw. It's a short walk here at Lara Field, a very intimate stadium. The backstop isn't very far from home plate. The stands are very close to the action. I mean, you're within earshot of everything here. The dugouts, the batter's box, the pitcher's mound. It's like you're on the field. So for manager Ryan Johnson to come out there is a very short trip. An out yet to be recorded in the second. A homer from E.J. Royal to lead it off. A Sam Ardois double. He traded places with Don Jordan, who also hit a double, scored Ardois, and now a Mason Ashlock walk puts runners at the corners for the Blues. Long meeting has concluded. Second base umpire was sitting crisscross applesauce behind the mound, waiting for that to finish. He stands back up and we're ready to go. So it's Brendan Comerford, who had a sacrifice fly back in the first inning. Scored the first run of the ball game for the Blues. A last-minute lineup change for Dean Traynor. First pitch, Comerford swings and misses on a fastball for strike 1. Brendan making his 13th start of the summer, 14 hits and 42 at-bats, a .333 average. 0-1. And Brendan takes an outer half changeup for strike 2. And 14 hits, only one of them is for extra bases. It was that home run to center field against the Legends, 402 feet. No doubles, no triples. Pretty ironic. 0-2. Comerford watches the slider outside, a ball and 2 strikes. Brendan mashed at Ohlone College like a lot of his Renegades teammates, but he's different from the rest as he was named the co-MVP with Will Anderson, who was on the Menlo Park Legends. 1-2. Comerford pops it up off to the right, and there will be no play there. We'll do it again at a ball and 2 strikes. There's word that Zach Tollerman is dealing with an ankle injury, or not necessarily an injury, probably a sprain. Doing a lot of physical therapy stretches before today's game with some resistance bands, and I think the pain might have just been too much for him, so Comerford came in to replace Tollerman before the game. 1-2. Brendan pops it up off the bat. Once again in the same spot off to the right. We'll do it again at a ball and 2 strikes. Brendan has struck out 14 times to his 7 walks this summer. He scored 7 runs and has driven in a team high 16. Runners at first and third. And Comerford dodges a pitch inside. Don Jordan stays at third, but Mason Ashlock will head into second base easily. Another wild pitch from Ben Eisenhower puts 2 runners in scoring position for the Blues. Still no outs in the top of the second inning. 6-0 ball game here at Lara Field. Rene Regalado, the third base coach. Coach Scheitz over at first for the Blues. Ashlock at second, Don Jordan at third. Good speed on both base runners. Jordan a little higher than Ashlock, though. The pitch. Comerford swings and chops it behind home plate, staying alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Comerford. Comerford played in yesterday's game against the Legends. 1 for 4, scored a run. He stole third base, down 14-1, 2-2. Brendan leaves that pitch outside. Very nice take, fills it up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Kosei Suzuki stands on deck. He slapped a 2-out single in the first inning and came around to score. Comerford swings and misses for strike 3. There's the first out of the inning.
Number 25, Kosei Suzuki. And fans, don't forget, he is our hot dog batter.
First strikeout of the day for the Blues offense, and the 15th one of the summer for Brendan Comerford. Runners at second and third for Kosei Suzuki, who punched a single through the 5-5 hole the last time he was up. Kosei starting in his 4th game this season, south of 200 batting average, a small sample size. He's 2 for 12 so far with the Blues. First pitch, and Kosei watches it bounce behind home plate. Dances around the feet of Johnson. Both runners stay at their stations. Ball 1 to Kosei Suzuki. Division I commit to LaSalle University on the East Coast. He's traveled all around the world. I've talked about the flight miles that Kosei Suzuki has logged. Growing up in Japan, prepping in Australia, playing JUCO in Texas. 1-0 is popped up to left. Callinger gets underneath it. Makes the catch as Jordan tags from third. The throw goes to third, and it's a sacrifice fly for Kosei Suzuki. 7-0 ball game in the top half of the second. There's the second out for you, and a runner at second base, and Mason Ashlock. So 2 sacrifice flies in this game. 1 from Brendan Comerford and 1 from Kosei Suzuki. Back-to-back outs here for the Seagulls. Here's Cam Andrews now with a runner at second base and Mason Ashlock. Ashlock reached on a walk, one of the 3 the Blues have today, and advanced to second base on a wild pitch. Andrews himself walked in the first and was stranded at second. With 2 outs, here's the first pitch. Andrews checks his swing and went around for strike 1. Cam, all too familiar with the San Francisco metro area, spending a couple seasons with the Golden Gators at SF State. Now no longer a baseball program at San Francisco State, now in the transfer portal. The 0-1. Andrews puts a charge into this one into center field. Koch in the shadows comes into the sunlight to make the grab, and the side is retired. A leadoff homer from E.J. Royal, an RBI double from Don Jordan, and a sacrifice fly extends the Blues lead 7-0 against the Seagulls. We head to the bottom half of the inning on the Slow Blues streaming network.
And grab that Seagulls seat cushion.
Blues extend the lead in the top of the second inning. A leadoff homer from E.J. Royal, his first of the summer. An RBI double from Don Jordan and a sac fly from Kosei Suzuki. Now makes it a 7-0 ball game. Blues have the advantage over the San Francisco Seagulls. Jackson Howell back out there, and Nav Sundar, his first pitch swinging. It's off the glove of Murillo at second, who gets it over to first in time. A hot shot off the bat of Nav Sundar. Tough play for Murillo at second base in the shadows. He stayed with the baseball and beat out the third baseman for the first out of the inning. And a pitcher getting loose in the bullpen for San Francisco, Jackson Shafesky. Getting hot. First pitch to Finn Whalen is a called strike on the outer half. Whalen, tonight's DH for San Francisco. Batting right-handed. And can also pitch, too. The 0-1. Whalen watches the curveball just missed below the zone for ball one. 1-1 to Finn Whalen, who is a San Francisco native. Redshirted his first season at Sonoma State, now in the transfer portal after that program went under. Pitch is popped up and out of play off to the right for strike two. Whalen off to a pretty good start to his Seagull summer. 5 of 9 with a double and a triple. Drove in a run. Playing in his 5th game. Here's the 1-2. And Whalen bounces it off his hands down the first baseline and foul. And prepped at St. Ignatius College Prep. Played in 19 games his varsity season and batted .238. 5 hits and 21 at-bats. One of them for extra bases. It was a homer. Here's Howell from the stretch with 1 out. Pitch to Whalen. Check swing, but he didn't go around on a sweeper outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Finn Whalen. Whalen's an infielder and also a right-handed pitcher, but is DHing today for San Francisco. Here's the 2-2. Fastball drilled up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Second knock of the day for the San Francisco Seagulls, and it comes with 1 out in the second inning.
Now batting, number 9,
And Whalen continues to swing the stick well on first base with a 1-out single. Here's the shortstop, Jalen Hodges, a former Pioneer from Cal State East Bay, where Ben Eisenhower, today's starting pitcher for the Seagulls, attends as well. First pitch to him. Slider missing outside. Andrews slides to his right to get there. A ball and no strikes to Hodges. 3 of 15 so far with San Francisco. 1 extra base hit. It's a double. He's driven in 2 so far. No home runs. Runner on first base as Howell comes set from the stretch. Strides and shoots. And Hodges lines it hard in front of the Seagulls dugout for strike 1. 1-1 to the 2025 All-CCAA Honorable Mention selection. .339 batting average, 363 on base, 56 hits, and 165 at-bats. Runner takes off to second base. Andrews picks it, throws it down to the bag, and the throw is offline. Murillo does a nice job keeping it in front, but a stolen bag for Finn Whalen puts a runner in scoring position for the Gulls. And caught a really good jump, and if it weren't for the ball and dirt that was picked by Andrews, I think that throw is a lot more on target and a lot more on time. So now Whalen's at second base with Hodges at the dish. Pitch to him. High and tight, missing for a ball. 3-1 count to Jalen Hodges. His baggy sleeves and his multicolored maple wooden bat behind his head. The pitch. Hodges buckles on a curveball, and it's a called strike. 3-2. An NBA fanatic, Jalen actually learned to read by reading NBA players in the newspaper. Instead of hooping, he's playing baseball. 3-2. Hodges chases the fastball outside for strike 3.
Now batting, number 7, Alan Ramirez.
Second K and second out for Jackson Howell. Runner at second base, it's Alan Ramirez, the second baseman batting ninth for San Francisco. Ramirez, a redshirt junior from San Jose State. He redshirted this past season with the Spartans. First pitch to him, and Ramirez hits a high bouncing ball to the shortstop Artois, who charges it, makes the throw on the run in time to Comerford. Seagulls strand a runner at second base on the single from Finn Whalen. It's still 7-0 San Luis Obispo, heading into the third on the Slow Blues streaming network.
Air duct and window cleaning needs. Trust the professional.
New pitcher in for the San Francisco Seagulls in the top of the third inning. Ben Eisenhower's day is done. Tough day at the office for Eisenhower. 2 innings of work, 6 hits, 7 runs, 4 of them earned, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. It's a 7-0 ball game. Diego Murillo, Caden Cuccia, and E.J. Royal due up in this frame. So now it's Jackson Shefsky, who formerly was at Santa Barbara City College and appears to be heading to the University of California, San Diego. Here's Diego Murillo in a closed-off stance. Second baseman made a nice play to begin the bottom of the second inning. And he watches a curveball misses inside for ball 1. Murillo in the transfer portal himself. 2 years at Cuesta and a year at Northeastern State. He wants out of the Riverhawks. 1-0. Pitch missing outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Diego Murillo. Diego entered this game with a .286 batting average, 4 hits and 14 at-bats. And is 0 for 0 today. A walk and a stolen base. The pitch misses outside. 3 balls and no strikes to Murillo. A right-hander in his bright blue elbow guard and his bright red batting gloves. 3-0. Fastball down the middle of the plate, taking all the way is Murillo for strike 1. And what a swaggy look for Diego, too, on that bat. He's got a wide knob at the bottom, and at the barrel, the paint is all worn out from all the baseballs he's barreled up. 3-1. Diego takes it all the way outside, and that's a leadoff walk for Murillo. 4th walk of the day for San Luis Obispo. And the first batter that Shefsky faces, a free pass to begin the third. Here's Caden Cuccia, who struck out swinging to end the first inning. Cuccia, the only left-handed batter in today's lineup for San Luis Obispo. First pitch to him, and Cuccia watches it inside for ball one. Caden made a start in Game 3 against the Menlo Park Legends. That Sunday walk-off win, RBI single from Gavin Smith, took everyone home. And Cuccia went 0 for 1, a couple of walks, a strikeout. He stole a base and scored a run. Caden watches a four-seamer in there for a strike, 1-1 to the Kenyatta College Colt. We talked about a little earlier how on the way here to the field, we passed Kenyatta College. It's on the drive from San Luis Obispo to the Bay Area. 1-1 skips away from the catcher Johnston, and Murillos will move to second base easily. Wild pitch from Jackson Shefsky puts a runner in scoring position for the Blues. 7-0 game, San Luis Obispo, and a runner in scoring position to just make it hurt that much more. Blues wearing their road grays with the navy blue sleeves, the SLO horizontally across the left pec. I'm wondering where the old all-gray cursive San Luis jerseys are. I like those. A 2-1 count here to Caden Cuccia. Here's the pitch. And Cuccia leaves it inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Caden from Santa Maria, graduate of Rigetti High School, a 3-time first-team All-League and All-Area with the Warriors. Also a perfect game All-American. Here's the 3-1. Cuccia swings and misses for strike 2. A 5'9", 150-pound infielder with a .439 on-base percentage this past season at Kenyatta. Walked more than he struck out, 30 compared to his 23. That's carried over to this summer with the Blues. He's walked 8 times and struck out 3. 3-2, he puts it softly on the ground, right side. Second baseman Ramirez is there, but no one's there to cover the bag as Cuccia dives headfirst into first base. Murillo advances to third as Caden Cuccia is aboard with an infield base hit.
Number 50, E.J. Royal.
That's the 3rd hit of the summer for Caden Cuccia. Runners at first and third for San Luis Obispo. No outs in the top of the 3rd inning as the wind picks up here in San Bruno. And that'll happen as the night comes around. Carl the Fog comes in. That's right. People in the Bay Area have a name for the fog that rolls into the city because it's just so frequent. It's like a familiar face. Cuccia takes off to second base. There will be no throw. 1-0 count to E.J. Royal, who's starting to get back into a groove. Couple of hits late in yesterday's game against the Legends, and now a single and a homer here. His last 4 at-bats have been base hits. Runners on second and third. A 7-0 ball game, and Royal puts a charge in this one into right. Landry is underneath it. Murillo tags from third, and he will score easily on the sacrifice fly from E.J. Royal. That's something the Blues haven't done a lot this summer so far, is score runs via the sac fly, and they have 3 today.
8-0 lead, number 55, Sam Ardois.
So Royal scores Murillo from third, and Caden Cuccia advances to third base on the fly ball out from E.J. Royal. It's now Sam Ardois, who's also a perfect 2 for 2 today. A single and a double for the former ULL Raging Cajun. First pitch, and Ardois leaves it low and inside for ball 1. Sam entered this game with his .357 batting average, 5 hits and 14 at-bats, 1 walk to his 2 strikeouts. Driven in 2 runs on those 5 hits too, and has 1 extra base hit. It was a homer. 1-0, and he holds up his swing for a strike. 1-1 count to Sam Ardois, who punished a baseball at Sinsheimer Stadium this past weekend. A moonshot to left field over the storage containers at Sinsheimer. Here's the 1-1. Ardois takes the fastball in the outer half for a strike. So now tough with 2 here is Sam Ardois with a runner at third base. Blues up 8-0 in the top of the 3rd inning. Don Jordan stands on deck with his ever-vibrant pink bomb bat. The pitch. Ardois swings and foul tips it off Johnson, who can't glove it. 1-2 count to Sam Ardois. The home plate umpire regroups himself after getting nicked by that foul tip from Sam Ardois. One-two to Sam. Takes the bat off the shoulders, puts it behind his right ear. Here's the pitch. A pushed fastball misses outside. It evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ardois spent last summer with San Luis Obispo as well, making his return to the Central Coast this year. A .218 batting average and a .340 on-base percentage. 2-2. Curveball gets away from the catcher Johnson. Here comes Cuchilla at the plate. No one's covering. And Johnson puts his body on the line and tags out Caden Cuchilla, who is in some pain at home plate. Holding on to that left wrist. And Cuchilla tried to get greedy that time and score on the pass ball. But Johnson denies him at the plate. Ethan Johnson literally laid flat in front of home plate to stop Cuchilla from scoring, and the whole staff surrounds Caden to make sure his wrist is okay. He retreats back in the dugout. Full count here to Ardois with the bases empty. Pitch yanked outside into the other batter's box, and Ardois draws the 2-out walk. 2 walks in this inning,
Now
and the
batting
5th
number
walk of the
18,
day for the
Donovan
Blues.
Jordan.
Now it's Donovan Jordan, who's 1 for 2, an RBI double in the 2nd inning, and he reached on error in the 1st. Meeting at the mound between Shefsky and Johnson, as an arm is getting hot in that San Francisco bullpen. It's Don Jordan waiting at the dish, marking his spot in the back of the right-handed batter's box, chatting it up with the home plate umpire, with Mason Ashlock standing on deck. I talked about some out-of-staters that the Blues have on this team that weren't anticipating this weather here in San Francisco, and Don Jordan's no exception. From Texas, first pitch is a fastball in the outer half, strike 1, and the Blues going to have to get used to that call today. A lot of fastballs on the outer half of the zone to right-handed hitters, getting called strikes, so as long as the home plate umpire stays consistent, the Blues can adjust their zone to swing in different spots. Here's the 0-1. Jordan gets a curveball in that same location, and it's a called strike. Down on strikes, 0-2 to Don Jordan. 2 outs and a runner on first base. Blues lead big, 8-0 in the top of the 3rd. The 0-2. Jordan crushes it through the 5-5 hole, a base hit. Ardois advances to second, and Don Jordan has his 2nd base hit of the day. A double and a single for the Don. That keeps the line moving for Mason Ashlock. Ashlock 0 of 1 today, reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st, and then walked in the 2nd inning, advanced to second on a wild pitch, but was stranded on the bag. Streaky shadows across the infield here at Lara Field. Shefsky disengages, and another conversation between the battery. Just trying to get on the same page here against Ashlock, who is arguably the best Blues hitter on this team, trying to figure out how to minimize the damage already down pretty significantly against the Blues. Seagulls trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, and they got some work to do in the top of the 3rd inning, trailing 8-0. Here's Shefsky from the stretch with Don Jordan at first, the Blues' fastest runner. And Ashlock swings and hammers a right center gap extra base hit. Jordan rounds second and heads into 3rd. Ashlock easily will come into second base. An RBI double, which he's trying to stretch into a triple. He slides head first, and they tag him out. So the run will score, but Mason Ashlock got a little too greedy on the base paths. Ardois and Jordan coming in, a 10-0 ball game heading into the bottom half of the 3rd inning on the SLO Blues streaming network. 10-0 ball game now in the bottom half of the third inning, and in the leadoff man for the Seagulls, Ben Koch, is up here in the bottom of the third. Koch 0 for 1 with a strikeout swinging to begin the bottom half of the first. Shows bunt and pulls it back and takes it for strike one. Jackson Howell back out there for his third inning of work. Hasn't been tested too much, a base hit and a strikeout in each of his innings pitched, but cleaned it up pretty well with some solid defense behind him. The 0-1, and Koch flinches but leaves the changeup outside, a ball and a strike. Ben Koch from the University of Louisiana, Monroe, a rising sophomore with the Warhawks. He appeared in 12 games with them and had 2 at-bats with no hits. 1-1, and Koch flinches again but leaves a pitch outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. And didn't get a lot of action time his first year playing Division I baseball, but was a stud at Bullard High School in Texas. First team All-District his junior and senior year. First team All-Rose County baseball team as well. This time a fastball hits the outer half, 2 balls and 2 strikes now. There's a 2024 Northeast Texas FCA All-Star player as well. Batted .327 with a .503 on base as a senior. Pitch is taken for strike 3. A changeup on the inner half to Ben Koch sits him down for the first out of the inning.
Miles Callinger.
First out of the inning and the third strikeout of the day for Jackson Howell. Now it's Miles Callinger, one of the 2 Seagulls to have a hit so far today. He hit a single in the first inning and stole 2 bags. He stole second, then he stole third. First pitch is an off-speed in there for a strike. Noticing Miles Callinger choke up on the bat in an 0-0 count. He does so again here on the 0-1. The pitch to him. A looping curveball missing high. 1 ball and 1 strike. The former West Coast Conference all-freshman team outfielder from San Francisco. Started in 19 games that season with 20 hits and 72 at-bats. Half swing, it's a nubber to Murillo at second. Flips it over to first in time for the second out of the inning. Easy play for Diego Murillo at second base, and quickly 2 gone in the third. So here's Jackson Landry now.
Jackson Landry.
Landry barreled up a baseball the last time he was up, but unfortunately for him, it was right to the left fielder, Mason Ashlock. Ashlock is alone and left with sun surrounding him, but where he's standing is the only spot where there's a shadow. And quickly, Landry calls time at home, trying to get a sign from his third base coach, Nick Escalera. Landry, the right fielder, batting third today for the Seagulls. A curveball in there for a strike. 0-1 count and 2 gone for Landry, who, like Ben Koch, is a Warhawk from Louisiana Monroe. Here's the 0-1 to him. A yanked fastball bounces in the left-handed batter's box, 1-1. Landry coming all the way from Donaldsonville, Louisiana, the same state where Sam Ardois grew up, although Ardois grew up in Lake Charles. So far this summer, Landry has a .167 batting average. 1-1. Pops it up off the net behind home plate for strike 2. 1-2 count to Jackson Landry, the former 2024 district MVP from Ascension Catholic High School. Was also the Region 9 Hitter of the Year that season. 0-1-2. Landry chops it on top of the Blues dugout. We'll do it again at a ball and 2 strikes. He's a freak in high school as well. Was named first team All-State 3 years in a row. 6'6", 225 pounds in the right-handed batter's box. Here's the 1-2. He swings and hits a hard liner off the Blues dugout. Again, 1 ball and 2 strikes. One of Landry's favorite things to do in his pastime as a honor graduate from Ascension Catholic with a 4.25 and a member of the National Honor Society, just likes to drive around. 1-2. And Howell yanks another pitch, a 50-footer in the other batter's box again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And we've seen Howell with some pretty bad misses in the early going with the Blues. Before this, only pitching in 2 innings in relief for San Luis Obispo, making his first start today. And he's been on, just allowing 2 hits with 3 strikeouts and no walks. But when he misses, it's a wide miss. 2-2. Fastball located just off the plate, a ball. Jackson Landry works himself into a full count with 2 outs. Base is empty for the Seagulls, trailing by double digits against the Blues. Here's the payoff pitch. Fastball hit hard and into left field for a base hit. 3rd knock of the day for the Seagulls. 3 innings in a row with a base hit. And San Francisco also have 3 innings in a row with a strikeout. Kind of a funny trend happening
Now
here
batting
for
number
Jackson
16,
Howell's outing.
Ethan Johnson.
And if history has told us anything, Jackson Howell's going to retire Ethan Johnson, right? Oh, here's Johnson with a pocket full of baseballs handed to the home plate umpire. A lefty committed to play SEC baseball at the University of Missouri. This comes from humble beginnings, though, when he had his first baseball tryout as a kid. Runner takes off to second. Andrews throws down to the bag, and not in time. Again, a throw that beat the runner, but just not in the right spot. Ardois having to come across his body to make the tag. And Johnson coming from humble beginnings, like I said, because in his first baseball tryout, after hitting the ball, he ran straight off the field. Not to any base, or not even to second or to third, no, just straight off the field. He's learned to run to first since then, and is very good at doing so. Takes the changeup in there for a strike. 1-1 to Ethan Johnson. He has 5 strikeouts and 5 walks so far this summer in his 6 games played. And Johnson was hit by a pitch the last time he was up. 2 looks at second, now 3. Here's the 1-1. Fastball, big swing and a miss for strike 2. Derek Waldvogel standing on deck for the Seagulls. And Johnson was hit by that pitch in the first and was stranded at first base there. Runner on second base, it's Jackson Landry. The 1-2. Pitch missing inside, and Andrews does a nice job smothering it at home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andrews like a hockey goaltender back there smothering the puck, which that's actually what Ethan Johnson did. He used to be a goaltender for hockey when he was a kid. Growing up in San Jose, you don't see too many athletes like that. Long pause. Here's the 2-2. This one hit hard into right center field. Royal moving to his left, camps under it, and makes the grab. Jackson Landry stranded at second base after knocking a single and stealing, but he will stay there. 10-0 San Luis Obispo. Into the 4th we go. As I remind you, this frame is brought to you by Studio Design Group Architects.
Juarez.
Top of the fourth inning here from San Bruno City Park. As I remind you, this inning is brought to you by the talented team at Studio Design Group Architects. Whether you're designing, planning, or needing permits for a new space, Studio Design Group and their collaborative philosophy have you covered. Visit sdgarchitects.com to learn more. Brendan Comerford's the first Blue batter due up to face the new pitcher for San Francisco. The pitch misses high to Brendan for ball one. Lincoln Suarez, the righty from San Jose and from Cumberland University, formerly at West Valley College, now playing in Lebanon, Texas. As the fastball is in there for a strike to Comerford, a ball and a strike now. Juarez is also a returner to the Seagulls. He played for San Francisco last year and was great. A .284 earned run average for SF. 1-1. Comerford swings and misses on a fastball inside for a strike. Pitched in 6 1/3 innings last year for San Francisco. 5 strikeouts to his 4 walks. A 10 earned run average last year at Cumberland, though. Comerford fouls it right off the face of the home plate umpire. Looks to be okay. Needed a second there as he draped over his hip. He's standing upright. Appears to have his balance and everything's good. Talking with the catcher Ethan Johnson as he gives him some baseballs. Third base umpire coming to check on him now. And Comerford hit that hard into the face of the home plate umpire and just kind of idling in the back of the right-handed batter's box now. And that was flush on the mask of the home plate umpire, too. Lincoln Juarez breaking up a meeting with his catcher, Ethan Johnson, as the home plate umpire recoups after that foul ball right back into his face. A 1-2 count to Brendan Comerford. Brendan has already struck out today back in the second and hit a sacrifice fly in the first. Ready to go here on the 1-2. Here's the pitch. Brendan leaves it outside. A breaking ball missing in the other batter's box. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the fourth inning here in San Bruno, California. The sun setting behind the trees here, and you can feel it. Wind picking up as well. First pitch temperature was 61 degrees. Now it's dropped to 59. Yanked fastball. It hits off the shin of the catcher Johnson, and I think it ricocheted off the umpire too. A full count now to Brendan Comerford, 3-2. Brendan's the leadoff batter in the top of the fourth inning. Blues up big, 10-0 over the San Francisco Seagulls. Comerford, a late addition to this lineup. Zach Tellerman was initially scheduled to start, but I think with some complications with his ankle, got taken out. 3-2, missing high and inside. There's a leadoff walk to Brendan Comerford.
Coming to plate, number 25, Kosei Suzuki.
6th walk of the day for the Blues, and a leadoff base runner for San Luis Obispo. Now Kosei Suzuki, who's 1 for 1 today, is single in the first. It came around to score. Also hit a sacrifice fly in the second inning. Being awfully productive today for the Blues. Last time he played, he pinch hit for Sean Strittmatter against the Legends in Game 3 on Sunday, and he hammers this one to left. Callinger against the Shadows makes the grab, charging in for the first out of the inning. And Suzuki might have just caught that a little bit off the end of the bat, maybe why Callinger had to come in on that ball instead of going back. Either way, a line drive out from Kosei Suzuki. It's the first of the fourth inning. Now it brings up Cam Andrews, who's 0 for 1 today. A fly ball to center field to end the second inning, and a walk in the first inning where he was stranded at second base there. The former San Francisco State Gator, now in the transfer portal, making his homecoming to the Bay Area. First pitch, Andrews watches the fastball in there for a strike. Andrews able to reunite with some of his old teammates at San Francisco State last night after the game against the Menlo Park Legends. A fun road trip here in Northern California. Not often we get to go to a big city like San Francisco. Fastball in there for a strike. 0-2 to Cam Andrews. Taking his time getting back in the right-handed batter's box, holding his bat by the barrel. Now digging in. Brendan Comerford at first base, a conservative lead over there, up by 10. Joking up on the bat. Here's the 0-2. Andrews fouls and sends it straight back off the screen. We'll do it again at no balls and 2 strikes. Diego Murillo stands on deck. 2 plate appearances, both resulted in walks. Andrews had a couple of walks himself in Game 1 against Menlo Park on Friday at Sinsheimer Stadium. Pair that with a strikeout and an 0-for-2 day. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Andrews waves and misses at a slider for strike 3. Third strikeout of the day for the Blues, and there's 2 outs in the 4th inning. So far, the most tranquil frame for San Luis Obispo so far, as Diego Murillo now steps in. Murillo scored 1 of the 10 runs in this ball game back in the 3rd inning. Advanced to second base on a wild pitch, and came in to score a single from Don Jordan. First pitch to him is a dribbling grounder, fouled off to the left side of home plate for strike 1. A good on-base percentage day for Murillo. Not that he really needed it. A .444 on-base percentage so far this summer. 3 hit by pitches and 1 walk in his 18 plate appearances heading into today's game. A righty with his cherry-colored batting gloves and his axe handle at the base of his bat. Here's the 0-1. And Murillo watches a slider outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. I talked about it in yesterday's game against the Menlo Park Legends too, how hitters do some funky things to get their mind right and feel good at the dish. The axe handle is one I just don't get. I was never a big fan of the axe handle. If you're wondering what that is, it's literally shaped like an axe. Fastball high and tight, almost hits Diego. 2 balls and a strike. I think of like an axe like firemen use, like at the firehouse, how it's kind of slanted at the base. That's exactly how they shape this baseball bat. 2-1 is hit off the mound into the second baseman Ramirez, who goes to first and retires Murillo for the 3rd out of the inning. Quietest frame of the day for the Blues. We head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Blues up big, 10-0. As I remind you, this frame is brought to you by our friends at SLO County Golf. Fourth inning is brought to you by our friends at SLO County Golf. They offer 3 courses in SLO, Morro Bay, and Atascadero. They also offer a unique combination of beautiful scenery and affordable prices. Book your next tee time at slowcountygolf.com. Blues in the top of the 4th inning went scoreless for the first time this afternoon, and it's 5-6-7 due up for San Francisco with Jackson Howell heading back out there. The first pitch misses inside to Derek Waldvogel for ball 1. Waldvogel popped out to the second baseman Murillo to end the 1st inning, the last time he was up. Here's the 1-0. And Waldvogel takes a strike in the inner half. Waldvogel from Skyline Community College, heading into today's game, was 2 of 12 in his 5 games played. 3 strikeouts to his 2 walks. Hasn't driven in a run yet. 1-1. Fastball sent straight back for strike 2. So it's Waldvogel, Nav Sundar, and Finn Whalen due up for the San Francisco Seagulls. Whalen, arguably the Seagulls' hottest hitter right now. 10-0 ball game in the bottom of the 4th inning at San Bruno City Park. 1-2. Pitch bounces in the other batter's box outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Right now, SLO Blues would make the postseason if the season ended today with their even 3-3 record in CCL North play. San Francisco in dead last, 1-5, trying to break a 4-game losing streak. 2-2, a high bouncing ball to the shortstop Ardois, who makes the throw on the run and plenty of time to retire Waldvogel. Good communication between Ardois and Cuccia as well. Cuccia, the third baseman, was charging towards first, and as Ardois called him off, hit the deck, head first dive on the infield grass. 6-3 putout. Now here's Nav Sundar, the third baseman from Coppin State University in Maryland. West side of Baltimore, playing Division I baseball, played at Cuesta College for a couple of seasons. First pitch to Sundar is a 50-foot fastball bouncing in front of home plate for ball 1. 1 out here in the 4th inning. Blues up big, 10-0 over the Seagulls. Sundar, JUCO bandit, as I said, from Cuesta, now at Coppin State. A .324 on base percentage with a .242 batting average. His first year Division I baseball, not bad. Here's a bouncing ball up the middle. Ardois got it, makes another throw on the run, and again, plenty of time to retire Sundar for the 2nd out of the inning. 2 quick and easy outs for Jackson Howell, who was gliding through this ball game. It's real nice to see him go pitch with some extra length after seeing him pitch a couple of 1-inning stints. He was a very frequent starter for the Blues last summer and appears to be pretty healthy here on the mound. The pitches are working here against San Francisco as Finn Whalen steps in. He's 1 of 1 with a single and a stolen base. First pitch is a fastball missing outside. As I said, Whalen, arguably the hottest hitter on this roster for San Francisco, coming into this game with 5 hits, make it 6 after his 2nd inning single. 1-0. Whalen watches the 4-seamer in there for a strike. Whalen in the transfer portal after redshirting his first season at Sonoma State. A 2-way player who can play the infield too. Royal blue Bruce Bolt batting gloves, holding on to that bomb bat in the right-handed stance. 1-1. And Whalen flinches and takes a curveball for strike 2. 4 strikeouts this summer for Finn Whalen. You couple that with his 1 hit by pitch and 0 walks. 1-2 from Howell. Curveball missing outside, and Whalen didn't budge. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Finn. A .933 OPS his junior year of high school at St. Ignatius College Prep in the San Francisco area. Hits it hard into right field and falls fast in front of Suzuki for a base hit. 4 innings in a row where the Seagulls have collected a base knock, and it comes with 2 outs in the 4th.
Jalen Hodges.
2 of those hits have come from Finn Whalen. He's a perfect 2 for 2 today as Jalen Hodges steps in. Hodges is one of Jackson Howell's 3 strikeout victims today. He struck out swinging for the 2nd out of the 2nd inning. In the transfer portal after a season of, or 2 seasons of D2 baseball at CSU East Bay. Hits it hard right to Ardois at shortstop for the 3rd out of the inning. Runner stranded on first, a single from Finn Whalen, and that's all for the San Francisco Seagulls. Into the 5th inning we go. Blues up 10-0 over SF on the SLO Blues streaming network. 9-1-2 due up for San Luis Obispo in the top half of the fifth inning. Blues lead by a lot, 10-0 against the San Francisco Seagulls. The first game between these two in CCL play in 2025. Here's Cuccia, watches a curveball in the dirt for ball one. Kane today 1 of 2, a single in the third inning and struck out swinging to end the first in this ball game. On that single in the third, he stole second base and made an out on the base pass at third. Looks like Tate Lewis is into this ball game at third as the pitch misses inside to Cuccia. So Lewis will replace Nav Sundar at third. Here's Cuccia. And a 1-1 count. I checked down a 2-0 count. As the pitch misses outside, make that 3-0 to Caden Cuccia. Cuccia, a pretty good first season at Kenyatta College. 302 batting average. That's dropped below to 200 this summer with the Blues. Fastball is in there on the 3-0 pitch for a strike. He's making his sixth start for San Luis Obispo. In the past 2 seasons, he has been a temporary guy on a 2-week contract who usually exits once the Blues hit conference play, but he's here to stay. 3-1 pitch, misses outside, and that's ball 4 to Caden Cuccia. A leadoff walk, second inning in a row where the Blues have had one of those. And it puts on the 9-hole hitter, Cuccia.
E.J. Royal.
So now we'll flip it to the top of the order in E.J. Royal, who's starting to get hot here, folks. Just the moment we were waiting for. He's sort of hit a skid there in the weekend series against the Menlo Park Legends, just collecting 1 hit on the weekend. But he just finished a string of 4 at-bats in a row with base hit. Cuccia takes off to second base. Real nice jump. And there will be a no-throw from Johnson, who couldn't get the right grip in time. Second stolen base of the day for Caden Cuccia, and he's in scoring position for Royal. That's Caden's 5th stolen bag of the summer. And those 5 stolen bags leads the team. He's tied for first with Brendan Comerford. Fastball misses high to Royal. 2-0 count to EJ, who homered, singled, and hit a sac fly this afternoon against the Seagulls. Cuccia at second base, 10-0 ball game, no outs in the top of the 5th inning. As Suarez steps off the mound and hits reset. Suarez working from the stretch, comes set at the chest. 2-0, misses outside, 3 balls and no strikes. And an arm getting hot in that San Francisco bullpen. Here's Royal. Fastball missing high, and that's ball 4. 2 walks in a row for the SLO Blues. Puts 2 runners on with no outs. A meeting at the mound between Ethan Johnson and his right-hander Lincoln Suarez. Sam Ardois coming up to the dish, and he's seen it well too. A double today, a single in the first, and a walk in the third. Has scored all 3 times he's reached base. Here's Ardois, who was 1 for 4 yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends. Don Jordan stands on deck, and Juarez takes his time getting back on the rubber. First pitch, Ardois takes it low and outside for ball 1. So Lewis didn't come into third to replace Sundar. He's actually at first base to replace Waldvogel. Here's the 1-0. Ardois leaves it inside, 2 balls and no strikes. E.J. Royal at first and Caden Cuccia at second. Some good speed on the base paths for San Luis Obispo. Not that they desperately need those runs, but something to consider. Ardois chokes up on the bat on the 2-0. Here's the pitch. And Sam leaves it high and inside. 3 balls and no strikes. Juarez having some difficulty finding the zone after being so good this past summer for San Francisco. It's not the same case here in 2025 early on. Ardois with the hand guard on the 3-0. Taking all the way and taking a four-seamer inside a called strike. A look at second base. Now delivers. 3-1 is another fastball taken for strike 2. 3-2 count now to Sam Ardois with runners on first and second for the Blues. The pitch. Hit hard and into the glove of Hodges at short, and he'll get the force out at third to get Caden Cuccia. Nice headsy play by the shortstop, Jaden Hodges. Gets the first out of the inning.
18, Donovan Jordan.
So a fielder's choice, and Sam Ardois reaches. Runners still at first and second. And it's Don Jordan, who is 2 for 3 today, an RBI double, a single, and an E9 by Landry and Wright. He's got one runner in scoring position here. It's E.J. Royal, and Ardois is over at first base. Here's the first pitch, and Jordan hits it hard to the second baseman Ramirez. Thought about going to second for one. Now he goes to first, and the new first baseman Lewis can't glove it. Royal will stay at third, and the bases are loaded for Mason Ashlock.
Number 51.
So that'll go down as a throwing error by the second baseman Ramirez, and it will fill the bases for the Blues. Second time today, John Jordan has reached on error, and here's a guy who can certainly put the hurt on you. Mason Ashlock has been barreling up baseballs left and right all summer, and he's been real clutch for the Blues too. He's here with the bases loaded and one out, and Ashlock sends it straight back. He wanted all that one, strike one. 10-0 Blues lead, and Ashlock trying to be greedy here in the top half of the fifth inning. Just one out with Royal at third, Ardois at second, and Don Jordan at first base. Here's the 0-1. Ashlock leaves it outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. I'm putting in perspective how good Ashlock has been. 1135 OPS coming into today's game. Here's the 1-1. Ashlock watches the fastball in there for a strike. Mason Ashlock and a 1-2 count, having to be tough with 2. Here's the pitch, and Mason goes down swinging on the slider. First strikeout of the day for Mason Ashlock, 4th of the afternoon for the Blues. And it comes with the bases loaded. Now 2 outs for Brendan Comerford. Comerford, one of the 4 strikeout victims today, as the manager for San Francisco, Ryan Davis, comes out to talk to his right-hander, Juarez. Bases still loaded. Royal at third. He reached on a walk. Ardois reached on a fielder's choice. And Don Jordan reached on error. He's at first. It's Comerford, who's all smiles. A sacrifice fly in the first, a strikeout swing in the second, and a walk in the fourth. A leadoff walk. Started the 4th inning just like the 5th. Leadoff walk to Caden Cuccia, who's forced out at third. First pitch to Comerford misses outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Brendan committed to play at Gonzaga University. Second team All North Coast Conference honoree. A great season at Ohlone College. The 1-0. Comerford swings and foul tips it into the mid of Johnson for strike 1. And Brendan, the team leader in runs batted in with 16. Second place is Gavin Smith, who's not in the lineup today, with 9. Comerford on the 1-1. Swings and pops it up, barely missing it and sending it out of play for strike 2. And Comerford, who is an extra base hit machine at Ohlone College, only has 1 this season in 14 games with the Blues, and it was a laser beam to center field, a 402-foot home run. Here's the 1-2. Comerford flinches at a breaking ball inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Almost backed entirely out of the right-handed batter's box to get out of the way of that pitch. Bullpen empty for the Blues. They're riding with Jackson Howell in this ball game, up 10-0. Here's a 2-2 with the bases loaded. Pitch missing outside. Fills it up at 3 balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Comerford. Kosei Suzuki stands on deck for the Blues with 2 outs. Here's the payoff. And Comerford hits it off the end of the bat to the shortstop Hodges, who will throw across the diamond to first in time, and the side is retired. Blues strand the bases loaded, but are still up 10-0 against the San Francisco Seagulls. Halfway through from Laura Field on the SLO Blues streaming network.
This homestand on Saturday, June 14th.
9-1-2 due up for the San Francisco Seagulls in the bottom half of the 5th inning, just over halfway through at Lara Field, and the Seagulls got their work cut out for them. A 10-0 deficit against the San Luis Obispo Blues. Not looking good, snapping that 4-game losing streak. Jackson Howell is looking good, though, as he comes into his 5th inning of work after just pitching in 1 inning in 2 different games, respectively. He's looked sharp against the San Francisco Seagulls. He's trying to continue that success with Alan Ramirez. Ramirez drills it into left field on the 1-0 count. Ashlock going back at 1, hops the wall. Extra bases for Alan Ramirez as he cruises into second base with a leadoff double. First extra base hit of the day for San Francisco, and it comes in the bottom half of the 5th inning. And it looks like Mason Ashlock is now no longer in this game. Jake Hixenbaugh, underneath our noses, came in to replace Ashlock in left field. So now it's the uncommitted utility man, Jake Hixenbaugh, out and left. And no other substitutions here, as it's now Ben Koch, the leadoff man. Koch shows bunt and gets it down the third base line, but it'll be foul. And it looks like Chase Vialli is warming up in that Blues bullpen. Vialli has started in 3 games this season, and looks like Dean Traynor utilizing him now as a bullpen arm. No sign of Hunter Hammond as he started in Sunday's game against Menlo Park. Aiden Sims is here, though. We all know how electric he was in that series against Menlo Park. The new guy from Texas A&M. The 0-1 to Koch, shows bunt and pulls it back. And a called strike on the inner half, 0-2 to Ben Koch. Koch has already struck out twice today, 1 looking and 1 swinging against Jackson Howell. One of Howell's 3 strikeouts today. 2 of them have come from Ben Koch. Runner at second base. Long pause. Here's the 0-2. Shows bunt with 2 strikes and a pitch missing high and outside for ball 1. I feel like pitchers on both sides have been doing that. So the very long pause before delivering. And even down 10, Howe trying to throw off the runner at second base and mess up that timing. Reps are reps here in summer ball. 2 looks at second. Now the 1-2. Runner takes off to third. The throw will not go to third. A stolen base for Alan Ramirez. On that pitch, Koch showed bunt again. A pitch high and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ben Koch. A Bullard, Texas native and a Warhawk from the University of Louisiana Monroe. The 2-2. Doesn't show bunt here, but he almost gets hit by a fastball inside, and the count moves to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Koch standing in at 6'4", 200 pounds. And he can move too. A 6.3 60-yard dash. You don't see that frame moving that fast that often. For reference, the average 60 is about a 6.9. And Koch watches the fastball in the outer half for strike 3. Jackson Howe catches Koch looking for the second time today. It's the first out of the 5th inning.
22, Miles Callinger.
Here's Miles Callinger now with a runner at third. 10-0 ball game, and Callinger wants to scratch across the first run of the day for San Francisco. Callinger is 1 for 2 with a couple stolen bases himself. He stole third in the first inning. And Callinger gets hit on the forearm on the first pitch he sees from Howe. Second hit by pitch of the day from Jackson Howe, and runners are now at the corners for San Francisco.
Number 40, Jackson Landry.
And with how cold it is right now, that's got to hurt. I've played baseball on the East Coast. My statistician besides me plays baseball on the East Coast, and I think we can both admit it's really cold right now. Either way, it's Jackson Landry. He's 1 for 2 today. A single in the third and stole second base. A line drive out to the former left fielder, Mason Ashlock. Runners at the corners here with 1 out. Runner takes off to second. Catcher won't even budge on the throw. And we'll mark it up as a stolen base for Callinger. That's the official ruling here. Why not? Third stolen base of the day for Miles Callinger. Here's Landry, the right fielder, batting third for San Francisco with runners now at second and third. Fastball in there for strike 1. 1-1 count to Jackson Landry. Landry 6'6", 225 from Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Another Warhawk from ULM. Howe comes set at the chest. Looks at third, now strides and shoots. A spinning curveball in there for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jackson Landry. Got baseball in his blood. His father, Tony Landry, played football and baseball for ULM, where Jackson goes, and then played baseball for the Raging Cajuns at ULL, where Sam Ardois goes to school. 1-2. Chases the fastball in the outer half for strike 3. Good strikeout from Jackson Howe, the second out of the inning.
Ethan Johnson.
First inning where Jackson Howe has had an inning with multiple strikeouts, and that's strikeout number 5 on the day for Howe. There's Ethan Johnson. 0 for 1 today, a fly ball out to center field to end the third, and was hit by pitch in the first. One of the 2 hit by pitch victims from Howe tonight. He's got runners at second and third with 2 gone, and the first pitch is a 4-seamer on the inner half for strike 1. Johnson, a University of Missouri commit. We were talking about bats a little earlier too. He swings a custom maple bat from Great White Woodworks. It's really cool. He showed his spread on Instagram, and the colorway is really cool, and there's another unique feature. 0-1 misses low and outside, a ball and a strike. Typically on wooden bats, to show that they are legal and official, makers will put an ink drop on a spot of bare wood to show you you're good to go. This is a legit bat. And it'll be just a stock circle opening or a square opening. But not at Great White Woodworks. They have a shark tooth outline. Pretty cool. 1-1. Might have clipped the shin of Ethan Johnson. Can't tell as he ran towards the Blues on deck circle. Completely losing his balance, dodging the fastball inside. It looks like it didn't hit him. So it'll be a 2-1 cat to Ethan Johnson. He'll be going to Missouri in the fall. That's a long way from Sharks. A lot of Sharks in the San Francisco Bay Area, though, especially on the way to Alcatraz. The 2-1. Johnson watches the fastball for strike two. A lot of guys on the team yesterday were talking about how they can make that swim. If they were in prison at Alcatraz, that they could swim to Fisherman's Wharf. These guys are all from Texas, of course. Those waters are pretty much deadly in every way. The 2-2. Johnson watches the changeup below the zone, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Between frigid temperatures, sharks. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done that. I'm scared of riding the ferry on those waters. As time is called, a soccer ball is in center field. Royal retrieves it promptly. Got some practice going on here at San Bruno City Park. Looks like a men's soccer league out in right field. Separated by the temporary fence put up by the players before the game. Howell stares down his catcher, Cam Andrews, who didn't think he could swim to Alcatraz. The payoff. Misses outside, and a walk with 2 outs issued to Ethan Johnson. That is the first walk of the day from Jackson Howell.
Derek Waldvogel.
And it's funny, with all the lapses in command that he had, only 1 walk today. So Waldvogel is batting still. I assume he's in as the DH. Check that. That information was wrong we were given. That is Tate Lewis. Second guessed myself for a second. Bases loaded with 2 outs for the San Francisco Seagulls. First pitch to Lewis misses high, and Andrews comes out of his squat to get there, ball 1. And Tate Lewis is a Saluki from Southern Illinois University and is really good at spike ball. You can see his maroon-colored batting gloves from his past season with the Salukis. Swinging and missing at a changeup for strike 1. He was really good his first year of Division I baseball. A .410 average, a .531 on base, a .462 slugging. No homers, 2 doubles in his 16 hits. Smaller sample size, but still. Entering his senior season, as he checks his swing on a changeup here, and he went around for strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strike to the infielder-catcher hybrid from Pleasant Grove, Utah. And he's been all around. Grew up in Pleasant Grove, Utah, went to Chandler Gilbert Community College for his first 2 seasons, and now at Southern Illinois playing for the Salukis. And then this summer in California playing for the San Francisco Seagulls. Low 1-2. Curveball dropping into the zone for strike 3. Jackson Howell strands the bases loaded on a trio of strikeouts. Into the 6th inning we go. Blues still lead 10-0 over the Seagulls on the SLO Blues streaming network.
Hi, Seagulls fans. our hot dog batter.
New pitcher for the San Francisco Seagulls is a right-hander from Kenyon College, Ben Resnick. Kosei Suzuki, his first pitch swinging and fouls it into the Blues dugout for strike one. Resnick coming in to relieve Lincoln Juarez, who in one inning of work, no hits, no runs, a walk and a strikeout. So just a quick inning there for Lincoln Juarez. And now Resnick is in, who is also listed as a catcher. Not often you see a catcher-pitcher hybrid. 0-1. And Suzuki watches the pitch on the outer half for strike two. Kosei Suzuki is 0 for 2 today, or was checked at 1 for 2 today. A single in the first, came around to score, a fly out to left, and a sacrifice fly in the second. Hits it hard down the third base line and foul. Again, an 0-2 count to Kosei Suzuki. 6-7-8 due up for the Blues in this frame, leading 10-0 over the San Francisco Seagulls in the top of the sixth. Cam Andrews follows, and Diego Murillo is in the hole. Resnick comes set on the left side of the rubber. He strides and shoots, and Kosei watches the sweeper missing outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And just a very, very mature take from Kosei Suzuki. Slider that started on the outer half of the zone and dropped out. The 1-2. Kosei hammers it into left field, and Callinger won't get there. It drops in front of him for a base hit, and Kosei's got his second knock of the day. Leadoff single for Kosei Suzuki gets the Blues going in the top of the sixth inning.
Now batting number 28, Cam Andrews.
And 2-hit day for Kosei. 4 Blues hitters have multi-hit games today. And Cam Andrews is one of the 3 Blues hitters to not collect a base hit this afternoon. He's trying to change that around right now as the lights come on here at Lara Field. Carl the Fog is rolling in too, and we can feel it here. The 0-1. Andrews pops it up and out of play for strike two. Triple layers for me. You're seeing some puffer jackets around the field as well. Getting darker in the South Bay. Suzuki at first, a very conservative lead with his hands on his hips. 0-2 is a pop-up into right. Landry comes in and makes the running grab in shallow right field for the first out of the inning. One out, and Cam Andrews remains hitless. Here's Diego Murillo, who has no hits as well, but he has reached base safely in 2 of his 3 plate appearances. A couple of walks to begin his day, and then grounded out to the second baseman Ramirez to end the 4th inning. Murillo, the first pitch to him, misses high, ball 1. Diego, a local from Slow High, Cuesta College Cougar, and a former Nighthawk as the pitch goes, or the pick over to first base is not in time to get Suzuki. A former, Riverhawk from Northeastern States. Now in the transfer portal after a year with a .287 average. Murillo watches the spinning curveball flutter above the zone, 2 balls and no strikes. Murillo had a great season last season with the Riverhawks. 35 runs driven in, 4 homers, 11 doubles, and 2 triples. Fastball missing outside. 3-0 count to Diego Murillo. Getting those slugging numbers up. And 20 doubles in his 2 seasons at Cuesta, and 11 in his 1 season with the Riverhawks. Murillo watches a changeup on the inner half for strike 1. Not the pitch you want in a 3-0 count, taking it all the way either way. 3-1 to Murillo. The pitch. And Diego dribbles it to the third base coach, Rene Regalado, who can't make the play. I'd imagine he can't feel his fingers at this point. And listen, I don't want to be dramatic here. I'm not one to talk about the weather too often. It's pretty hard to ignore here. Full count to Diego Murillo. Here's the pitch. And Murillo hits it through the 4-hole and a base hit. Suzuki will go into second base. Trip on the bag, but is okay. Single for Diego Murillo. He's on the board for the
Now
Blues.
batting number 30, Caden Kuchia.
1 for 2 day now for the infielder from SLO. Here's Caden Kuchia. And Kuchia getting a mega shift pulled on him right now. Center fielder Koch to the right of second base. And the shortstop Hodges to the right of second base as well. That left center gap is wide open. Well, Kuchia today hit a base hit through the 4-hole earlier. Back in the third, struck out swinging to end the first and walked in the fifth. Now here he is on a 2-0 count against Ben Resnick, the new pitcher for San Francisco. One out, runners on first and second. And Kuchia takes the fastball for a strike. Left center field wide open for Caden Kuchia. Going sleeveless in this game. The 2-1 is in there for strike 2. Caden, a perfect game All-American and a 3-time first-team All-League selection growing up in Santa Maria. He's here with runners on first and second. The 2-2 is a called strike 3. Kuchia goes down looking for the second out of the inning. 5th strikeout of the day for the Blues offense. Now we'll flip it back up top to E.J. Royal. Royal, a homer in the second, a single in the first, a sac fly in the third, and a walk in the 5th inning. First pitch to him, a bouncing pitch in the other batter's box for ball 1. Nice stop from Johnson behind the plate to backpick it. Royal coming off his final season at Utah Tech, played a couple years with the Bison. Another pitch outside and missing in the dirt, 2-0. And he talked about his brutal finish to the year when he first came to San Luis Obispo. That was what was fresh in his memory. They played in the WAC tournament, the Western Athletic Conference tournament in Arizona. A 5 and a 6 spot in 2 games in the postseason. One against Cal Baptist, one against Grand Canyon. They went into those late innings with a lead. Cal Baptist put up 5 runs and 1. And then in the losers bracket, they played GCU. GCU put up 6 and then 1 against Utah Tech. 3-0, he takes all the way, and it's a called strike. Just a brutal way to end your season. Those are 2 really good teams in the Western Athletic Conference, which eventually was won by Utah Tech. 3-1. There's a called strike outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And now the infield for San Francisco, shifting on E.J. Royal to his pole side. Which is funny because he shot his single the other way. Both runners go, and he pops this one up. Might be playable for the catcher, Johnston, who scales the wall and can't make it play. Ethan Johnson was right against the chain link fence and I think lost it at the last second and couldn't glove it. So a new life for E.J. Royal. Murillo at first, Suzuki at second base. E.J. Royal in a 3-2 count with 2 gone. Both runners go, and Royal hits it right back up the middle, a base hit. Suzuki will score easily, an RBI single for E.J. Royal. Makes it 11-10 Blues. That's a nice piece of hitting from E.J. That beats any shift you have to either pole side. Just send it right back up the middle. That's the 3rd hit of the day for E.J. Royal. He's starting to get into a rhythm. First pitch to Sam Ardois is a called strike. And Royal, too, contributing to 3 runs of the 11 today, batting in 3. The 0-1, Ardois leaves it outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Murillo at third and Royal at first with Ardois at the dish. He hits it hard to the third baseman, Sundar, who throws it across the diamond to first. A nice pick by Lewis at the bag to retire Artois for the third out. But not before E.J. Royal cashed in another run for San Luis Obispo. It's 11-0 Blues in the bottom half of the sixth inning on the SLO Blues streaming network. New pitcher coming in for the SLO Blues, it's Chase Viale. Jackson Howell's day is done after 5 innings of work. He allows 5 hits, no earned runs, just 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Have a day, Jackson Howell. What an outing to have after just 2 quick innings of relief in 2 different games. Good look for Jackson Howell. Something to hang your hat on today. So here's Chase Viale, who is used to starting games for the Blues, now coming into pitching relief in the 6th inning against the Seagulls. First pitch missing high to Nav Sundar, who made the final putout in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Blues added on another insurance run off the bat of E.J. Royal, a hard hit single right back up the middle to score in an insurance run. 11-0 Blues. Sundar watches the fastball in there for strike. 1-1 to Nav Sundar, infielder from Coppin State University in the west side of Baltimore, Maryland. From the windup, here comes Viale. Pitch misses low, 2 balls and 1 strike. And Sundar, like Viale, played at Cuesta College in 2 seasons with the Cougars. Had a .297 batting average, a .414 on base, and a .477 slugging. Very nice career to land him a D1 spot at Coppin State across the country. The pitch. Fastball down the middle of the plate for a strike. 2-2 now to Nav Sundar. Here's the 2-2. And Sundar pops it up behind home plate and off the fence. We'll do it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And it looks like we have a new catcher, too. Cam Andrews is out of the ball game. It will be Brody Miller now at the backstop. Here's the 2-2. And Sundar hits it right off Vialli's glove. It trickles to Murillo at short. He makes the running throw in time. Vialli's okay as he shows some teeth. It looks like that ball just caught all of his leather on his right hand. That was a smoke show from Nav Sundar. But good reaction time from Chase Vialli. He just shakes it off and continues to grin as he gets back on the rubber. Ah, yes, the classic 1-4-3 putout. Everyone knows that one. So here's... It is no longer Finn Whalen, it's Tate Lewis. And check that. This is actually the pitcher, Ben Resnick. Earlier, Lewis came in to play first and hit in the DH spot, but now it's the pitcher, Ben Resnick, who, as we said, can catch as well. And on offense for the Seagulls. There's the first pitch from Vialli, a competitive fastball in the outer half for strike one. Resnick in an 0-1. Flinches but takes a fastball in the outer half again for strike two. From the windup, here's the 0-2. Resnick swings and misses for strike three. Chase Vialli's first strikeout of the day. It's the second out of the sixth inning. So now it's Jalen Hodges. Hodges, the shortstop, who's 0 for 2. A strikeout and a liner to Ardois at shortstop. Cuccia playing in at third base as Hodges takes the pitch outside, ball one. And we talked about how Hodges has a love for the game of basketball. He learned to read by reading NBA players' names in a newspaper. Well, it makes plenty of sense. Swings and misses for strike one. He's the grandson of Craig Hodges, a two-time NBA champion in 91 and 92 with the Chicago Bulls, and a three-time three-point contest winner. How about that? Here's the 1-1. Fastball missing inside for a strike. Drafted by the San Diego Clippers, started his career with the Clippers, and then ended up playing with Michael Jordan on that 91-92 team. Here's the 2-1. Hodges watches the four-seamer in there for a strike, count even at 2-2. His favorite basketball athlete now, though, is Russell Westbrook. I'm sure second place behind Granddad. Bouncing ball to the right side. Comerford's got it at first base, and he'll touch first base by himself, and the side is retired. 3 up, 3 down from Chase Vialli. Nice job coming out of the bullpen and getting those quick outs. Into the 7th we go. Blues up 11-0. As I remind you, this half inning is brought to you by our friends at Ancient Owl. Seventh inning is brought to you by our friends at Ancient Owl Beer Garden and Bottle Shop. Just down the street from Sinsheimer Stadium, it's the official home of the Slow Blues Watch Party all season long. And hello to everyone watching at the Ancient Owl Brewery right now in San Luis Obispo. Thank you for tuning in to Blues baseball against the Seagulls. Here's Spencer Gallimore hitting for the first time this summer with the Blues. Fouls it up and off the backstop for strike two. 0-2 count from the Lompoc native Spencer Gallimore, who was a primary pitcher, was a two-way guy in high school at Cabrillo High. Now trying to earn a job as a two-way man at UC Colorado Springs. Here's 0-2. Gallimore watches the fastball high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Don Jordan's day is done. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI double, a single, and reached on air twice. It's Gallimore who redshirted his first season, and he flinches at a fastball inside. But it's taken for ball 2. Two count. And Gallimore leaves the four-seamer high. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here's a 3-2 count to Spencer. And Gallimore pops it up to right field and foul ground. The first baseman, Lewis, ranges and can't make the play. Diamond in the rough for Spencer Gallimore as he walks back to the right-handed batter's box, and a full count. Jake Hicksonbaugh stands on deck. He replaced Mason Ashlock in left field, and he will now bat for him in the 7th. 3-2. Gallimore hits it hard and into center field, a base hit. First hit of the summer for Spencer Gallimore and his first at-bat in a Blues uniform. Finds a barrel in the 7th inning. That's an athlete right there. Spencer Gallimore.
Jake Hicksonbaugh.
Now here's Jake Hicksonbaugh in for Mason Ashlock.
Now batting number 5, Jake Hicksonbaugh.
Hicksonbaugh could potentially be joining Gallimore in Colorado this next fall. So the ball gets away from Johnson behind the dish, but Gallimore stays at first. We're talking with Jake, and after a couple of disappointing seasons at Monterey Peninsula, didn't go his way. He was barreling pitches, but just kind of right at guys. That's happening this summer, too. Got an offer from CSU Pueblo. It's the same conference as UC Colorado Springs, where Gallimore goes. This is popped up and won't be playable for the third baseman, Sundar. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jake Hicksonbaugh. So it looks like Brendan Comerford's staying in this game after a couple of pinch hitters to start the 7th inning for the Blues. It's Jake Hicksonbaugh digging in the back of the left-handed batter's box. Pick over to first, and Gallimore's back in plenty of time. Spencer donning the baby blue batting gloves over at first base. Underrated color, baby blue is. And a hot take, it goes well with the navy blue sleeves. 1-1. Hicksonbaugh dribbles it behind home plate for strike 2. Hicks coming off the bench in this game. First time getting it at bat on this 4-game road series. We're in game 2 right now. Blues lost to the Menlo Park Legends big yesterday. A 14-2 loss, but now it's the opposite way around. 11-0 lead for San Luis Obispo. Hicksonbaugh takes the slider outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hicksonbaugh, last time he saw action was game 1 against Menlo. As he hammers it into left field, it falls fast for Callinger, who makes the sliding grab in left field. Hicksonbaugh is robbed of a single off a nice play by the left fielder in Callinger. 1 out in the 7th inning.
Now batting number 2, Brendan.
So here's Brendan Comerford, a late add to this lineup. Zach Tollerman was originally scheduled to start today at first base, but after a nagging ankle, Comerford came in at the last second. Shift onto his pull side as the pitch bounces on top of home plate for ball 1. 1 out and a runner at first base. Comerford, who is 0 for 2 today. Ground out to short and a strikeout swinging. A changeup misses below the zone. 2 balls and no strikes. You couple that with a sac fly in the first and a walk in the fourth. Comerford, one of the 2 hitters in this lineup to not have a hit. Another pitch misses low. 3 straight balls to Brendan Comerford. 3-0. Kosei Suzuki is on deck for San Luis Obispo. He's got a couple of knocks today. The 3-0. Brendan takes all the way, and it's a called strike. Resnick from the stretch, drives and shoots. 3-1 is hammered through the 5-5 hole, a base hit. Gallimore easily trots into second base, and Brendan Comerford gets on the board with a single.
Coming to the plate, number 25, Kosei
With that,
Suzuki.
Cam Andrews is the only hitter in this lineup to not record a base hit, and he will not have a chance as Brody Miller replaced him at the backstop. So Comerford is aboard with a 1-out single. Runners at first and second now for the Blues, and Kosei Suzuki now batting for San Luis Obispo. The first pitch, and Suzuki leaves it high, ball 1. Kosei, a LaSalle University commit. And a cool story coming out of LaSalle, too. 4 years ago, their program went under, and Suzuki sends it straight back, 1-1. Now they're back. The Travelers are back playing Division I baseball. And Suzuki will be a part of history. The first year that LaSalle returns after being under for 4, 1-1. Suzuki scooches out of the way of a changeup inside, 2 balls and a strike. Kosei, originally from Japan, now in the States. The 2-1's a high bouncer down the third baseline and foul. 2-2 now to Kosei Suzuki, who raked when he prepped in the Australian League and raked at Tyler College in Texas. But a .601 career slugging his 2 years of JUCO. 2-2. Suzuki off the end of the bat, a slow roller gloved by the third baseman Sundar. They'll go to second and the runner's out there. Comerford forced out at second base on the slow lowing ground ball to Nav Sundar. So 2 gone now as Suzuki reaches on the fielder's choice, and it's Brody Miller coming in for Cam Andrews. Unfortunately, won't have the chance to right the ship and get a base hit in this Blues lineup. He finishes as the only Blue without a base hit. Here's Miller. The first pitch is a 4-seamer on the outer half for strike 1. Brody redshirted his first season at Sonoma State and last year played at Mendocino College. 0-1, and Miller swings, flies it into right field. Landry is there, makes the one-handed grab, and the side is retired. A leadoff single for Spencer Gallimore, his first in a Blues uniform, and Brendan Comerford gets on the board with a base hit of his own. They're both stranded on, though. Time to stretch here from Lara Field in San Mateo. 11-0 Blues on the Slow Blues Streaming Network. Bottom 7 here at Lara Field, and the Blues lead by a ton. 11-0 against the San Francisco Seagulls. A much-needed margin after yesterday's loss where they fell 12-2 against, or check that, 14-2 against the Menlo Park Legends. 9-1-2 due up for the San Francisco Seagulls. Alan Ramirez takes the first pitch strike, 0-1. Ramirez hit a double last time he was up in the 5th, and he stole third base. And Jackson Howell got out of a bases-loaded jam in that frame, striking out 3 batters. And Ramirez takes the pitch outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Alan Ramirez, one of the more anticipated hitters coming into this summer for San Francisco. 1-1. Ramirez takes the 4-seamer in there for a strike. He was second-team All-Coast Conference this past season with the Vikings at Mission College. 373 average, 627 slugging, and a 476 on base. Here's the 1-2. That pitch just missing outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And I'm wondering, how do you have those numbers and you only get second team All Coast Conference? Well, it's because they're in the same conference as Ohlone. And we know about their numbers. 2-2. Pitch misses high and bounces out of the mid of Miller behind home plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Everyone at Ohlone rakes. We saw Will Anderson's numbers at Ohlone these past 2 seasons, the first baseman for Menlo Park. We've seen Brendan Comerford's numbers and a handful of players for Menlo Park as well. From the windup, here's the payoff. Fastball is popped up and sent out of the stadium. We'll do it again at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Raf Shirella getting hot in the Blues bullpen. Left-hander from Alan Hancock. 3-2. Fastball missing well outside. The second walk of the day issued to Seagulls hitters. First walk from Chase Vialli, and it leads off the 7th inning. And it looks like Ben Koch is out of this ball game for San Francisco.
26, Matt Galvin.
Matt Galvin now comes in to replace him. Galvin is an outfielder from Skagit Valley College and is a native of Calgary, Alberta. So Koch's day is over. 0 for 3 with a trio of strikeouts. He was on Golden Sombrero watch before Galvin came in to replace him. First pitch, and Galvin flinches and takes strike 1. Mack in the transfer portal after a couple of seasons of JUCO ball up in Washington playing for Skagit Valley. Fastball in there for strike 2. This past season, he was named second team All-Conference playing for the Cardinals. 255 average, 367 on base. Here he is on the 0-2. And Galvin watches it go low and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This season for San Francisco, 1 for his last 16, making his 5th appearance for SF. From the stretch, here's the 1-2. Swung on and tipped into the mid of Miller for strike 3. Second strikeout of the day for Chase Vialli, and it's the first out of the 7th inning. So it's not Ben Koch, but the leadoff spot gets the Golden Sombrero. Here's Miles Callinger now. With a single in the first, ground out to the second baseman, Maria in a second, and a hit by pitch in the 5th. Runner takes off to second base. They got him picked off. The throw goes to the bag, and Ardois wasn't there. Good jump from Alan Ramirez. A lefty move from Vialli. Had him dead to rights, but Ardois couldn't get to the bag in time. So a successful stolen base for Alan Ramirez. Puts a runner in scoring position for Callinger. Seagulls looking for their first run of the night. Fastball swung on and missed for strike 1. 1 out in the 7th inning. 11-0 ball game. Vialli in the game. with Raf Shirella warming up for the Blues. The 0-1. Pitch bounces on top of home plate. Miller keeps it in front. 1-1 to Miles Callinger. And Callinger is a Don from the University of San Francisco, just up the road here from Lara Stadium. A slow start to his summer, 1 for 7 entering today's ball game. Got a hit today, though, in the first. Runner goes to third. The pitch goes down to third base, and the throw is not in time. Alan Ramirez, his third stolen base of the night, and the second time he has stolen third today. So now the first run of this ball game for San Francisco, just 90 feet away for Callinger. Has yet to drive in a run this season. Only has 2 RBIs in his career with the Dons at San Francisco. 2-1's a pop out to center field. Royal giving chase, comes in, and with all the momentum, throws it to home. One hopper to Miller, and an unfortunate bounce off the mound. First run of the ball game, the first RBI of the summer for Miles Callinger. Sacrifice fly in the 7th inning for the second out. A missile from center field from E.J. Royal, but just a tough hop off the mound. It kicked well over the mid of Miller. So here's Jackson Landry now. And what is now an 11-1 ball game. Landry takes the first pitch four-seamer for a strike. And Landry is 1 for 3 today, a single in the third. He stole second base, also struck out and lined out to left. Here's the 0-1. Landry swings, and it's a soft ground ball to the second baseman, Murillo, who handles it and throws it to Comerford in time to retire the side. The Seagulls get their first run of the ball game. A sacrifice fly from Miles Callinger scores Alan Ramirez, who stole second and third. 11-1 San Francisco, heading into the 8th inning on the Slow Blues streaming network. Top of the 8th inning here at Lara Field, and the Seagulls scratched across their first run of the ball game as a high fly ball is sent into right field, and Landry couldn't see it. Murillo is aboard with a leadoff single as the throw gets away in the infield, and Diego Murillo will just stay on first base. We're getting to that time of night, folks, the twilight sky. I think Landry, with the combination of his eyes moving with his strides, lost the baseball in the sky completely blending with how the baseball looked, and it was hit above the lights too. That makes it really hard for outfielders and infielders alike to see the baseball. So a tough break for Landry out and right. He's had a long day over there. A leadoff base hit for Diego Murillo. Here's Ken Cuccia. Their first pitch is a breaking ball missing high and outside for ball 1. For Murillo, that's his second base hit of the evening. Couple that with 2 walks in his first 2 plate appearances. Cuccia has a lone base hit in the third, and he takes strike 1 here. He also had a walk, and it was in the 5th inning. Cuccia has also stolen 2 bags and has struck out twice. Ben Resnick back out there, and here he is on the 1-1 as Cuccia violently swings and misses for strike 2. Resnick, a two-way player who is DHing and pitching after replacing Lincoln Juarez from the bullpen. E.J. Royal stands on deck for the Blues, a runner on first base. Here's the 1-2. And Cuccia spits on a changeup low and outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Caden Cuccia, for the first time in a Blues uniform, able to find a groove with SLO, because his first 2 seasons with San Luis Obispo were abbreviated years with 2 weeks of play. Fastball taken on the outer half for strike 3. Questionable call from the home plate umpire, and Cuccia goes down looking for the 3rd time today.
Number 50, E.J. Royal.
So with 1 out, we'll bring it up to the top of the order in E.J. Royal, and he's having himself a day. 3 RBIs, has scored 2 runs, 2 singles and a homer, a sac fly and a walk too. And the Blues are counting on Royal to get hot and be a table setter as he shoots a base hit the opposite way into right field. Look at E.J. Royal, a 4-hit day, 4th coming in the 8th inning. And after a weekend where he couldn't even put together a single base hit, he has 4 in 1 game against the Seagulls. And manager Ryan Davis comes out there to tamper the mound briefly before jogging back into his dugout.
Number 55, Sam Ardois.
So runners now at first and second, Blues up by 10, 11-1 against the San Francisco Seagulls, and it's Sam Ardois. Ardois, a multi-hit game as well, not to the magnitude of E.J. Royal, but a hit in the first and a hit in the second, a single and a double respectively, and he takes the first pitch breaking ball for strike 1. Also walked in the 3rd and came around to score there, reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th, and grounded out to Sundar at 3rd base in the 6th. The 0-1 to him, and Ardois pops it up and out of the stadium off to the right. No balls and 2 strikes. E.J. Royal at first base and Diego Murillo at second. Sean Gallimore, who collected his first Blues base hit, stands on deck for the Blues. The 0-2. He flinches on a pitch that just misses outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And with the pitch that Caden Cuccia took for strike 3, it's kind of surprising that Ardois didn't get rung up on that offering. He's still alive here in the 1-2 count against Ben Resnick. From the stretch, misses inside a breaking pitch that didn't break enough. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ben Resnick comes set in the stretch. The 2-2. Ardois hits a high bouncing ball to the left side of the infield. The shortstop Hodges has got it. Hard throw over to first. Retires Ardois for the 2nd out of the inning. Both runners move up a station each. Royal at second base and Diego Murillo at 3rd.
Spencer Gallimore.
So here's Gallimore for the 2nd time today, after replacing Don Jordan, who had a nice day himself. An RBI double, a single. Was 2 for 4 after reaching on error twice as well. So it's Gallimore, who had a base hit to lead off the 7th inning. He's here with runners on 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs. He's the recipient of strike 1 here against Ben Resnick. Hicksonbaugh stands on deck. He flew out to Callinger the last time he was up. Callinger made a nice play on a line drive that was falling fast. 0-1. Gallimore takes strike 2 on the inner half. I'm looking at Callinger right now and left. It's got to be difficult to see the ball because behind him, it's entirely dark. 0-2. Gallimore sends this one into center field for a base hit. Murillo scores. Here comes E.J. Royal. There's no throw. A 2 RBI single for Spencer Gallimore. Have a day coming off the bench. Spencer Gallimore, 2 for 2 in his first appearance in a Blues uniform. Makes it a 13-1 ball game.
Jake Hicksonbaugh.
Look at that. Now it's Jake Hicksonbaugh with a runner on first base. Wide stance. The lefty swings and fouls it off his front foot for strike one. You just love to see that. Gallimore getting an opportunity. He projected himself as being a primary pitcher at UC Colorado Springs with limited chances to hit, and come off the bench and go 2 for 2. It's a good start. Ixenbaugh sends it straight back into the screen for strike two. Digging back in an 0-2 count. Comerford on deck. Here's the pitch. Ixenbaugh dances out of the way of a fastball inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Another close call from Blues hitters. With Gallimore at first and 2 outs, here's the 1-2. Ixenbaugh watches the curveball in the outer half for strike 3. But Spencer Gallimore comes through in the clutch and drives in 2 runs on an RBI single in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th we go on the Slow Blues streaming network. New pitcher in for the Slow Blues. Chase Vialli's day is done. 2 innings of work, no hits or runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Ethan Johnson will be the first to face Ralph Chirella, and he fouls it behind home plate for strike 1. Johnson today, 0 of 1, a fly out to center, was hit by a pitch in the first and walked in the 5th inning. There is another arm getting ready just in case in the Blues bullpen. We'll let you know who it is in a second. 0-1 is a pitch missing inside. Count even at a ball and a strike to Ethan Johnson. Chirella, a Bulldog from Allen Hancock College. And the pitch misses low. 2 balls and 1 strike to Ethan Johnson. Well, Spencer Gallimore collected his 2nd base hit in a Blues uniform in his first game playing for Slow. It drove in 2 runs to extend the lead. Pitch almost hits Johnson high and tight. 3 balls and a strike now. Bottom of the 8th inning here at Lara Field. A 3-1 count here to Ethan Johnson, the Missouri commit. Chirella comes set. And the southpaw digging in his leather. The pitch. Fastball on the 3-1 is a called strike. Ruff making his 2nd appearance in a Blues uniform. Has only pitched in 1 innings. 3 walks to his 1 strikeout. Trying to turn that around here against the Seagulls. 3-2. pitch is a bouncing ball up the middle. Ardois with good speed makes the running throw to Comerford in time. Nice play by Sam Ardois at shortstop to get the first out of the 8th inning.
38, Tate Lewis.
Now it's Tate Lewis in for Derek Waldvogel. So here's Tate Lewis, who struck out swinging the last time he was up. Lewis replaced Waldvogel over at first base and is coming up with 1 out here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Lewis from Pleasant Grove, Utah. Infielder from Southern Illinois University. First pitch to him, and Lewis watches a changeup in there for a strike. Spent 2 seasons at Chandler Gilbert Community College before becoming a Saluki. Played in 101 games and slashed .318, .426, and .509. The 0-1. And he hits it off the end of the bat to center field. Royal cannot find it, but Ardois sees it and makes the running grab. There were 3 guys who were wanting to catch that baseball. Diego Murillo, Sam Ardois, and E.J. Royal. And Ardois was the only guy that was able to see it. Royal didn't even take a step backwards because he couldn't see it off the bat. He just kind of stood there with his knees bent and his palms facing the sky. It's a helpless moment when you can't see the baseball off the bat. So now with 2 outs, it's Nav Sundar, who is 0 for 3 today. Sundar watches the first pitch go by the mitt of Miller and into the backstop for ball 1. Sundar grounded out to Murillo the first time he was up, a ground out to Ardois, and then a conventional 1-4-3 put out in the 6th. The 1-0. Sundar watches it bounce just to the right of home plate. 2 balls and no strikes to Nav Sundar. Sundar just finished up his first Division I season playing for the Eagles at Coppin State. He started in 34 games out of the 39 appearances he had. 2 homers, 7 doubles, and a triple. Sundar leaves the 4-seam high, 3 balls and no strikes from Raf Shirella. Blues ahead 13-1 in the bottom half of the 8th inning here at Lara Field in San Bruno, California. 3-0. And the fastball is in there for a strike on the outer half. Sundar off to a slow start this summer. Just 3 hits coming into today's game. 3 of 21 so far. 3-1. Sundar foul tips it right out of Miller's mitt. 3 balls and 2 strikes. I thought Brody Miller caught that, but it must have just bounced right out. So 3-2. A new life for Nav Sundar. Infield in regular position. Royal completely covered in darkness in center field. Here's the payoff. And Sundar hits it off the hands and into the fence. We'll do it again at 3 balls and 2 strikes. I talked about the conditions that Callinger, the left fielder for the Seagulls, were playing in. In left field, it's just complete darkness behind Jake Hicksonbon left. And Royal, who is surrounded by lights, is somehow in darkness as well. 3-2. Fastball just missing high and outside for ball 4. Nav Sundar draws the walk, and he's aboard on base for the first time today.
13, Ben Resnick.
So here's the pitcher-catcher hybrid and Ben Resnick. Resnick came in to replace Finn Whalen, who was a perfect 2 for 2 today. Seeing the baseball really well, but Whalen had to get sacrificed out of the game because they wanted to see the bat of Resnick, who was pitching. This is a towering fly ball to left. Hicksonbon, no chance on it. He can't see it at all, and it drops to his right for a base hit. And it will actually be foul. Clearly, I couldn't see it either. It is straight up darkness down the left field line. Hicksonbon didn't see that ball for a single second, and I don't blame him. not only was it hit above the lights, and it's already hard to see it when you do that, but then he was just completely in darkness. So a foul ball to Ben Resnick. And standing at first base is Nav Sundar. With 2 outs, here's the 0-1, and Resnick takes a called strike. 0-2 to Ben Resnick with Jaden Hodges on deck. He's hitless today as well. Resnick struck out swinging the last time he was up in the 6th inning. The pitch. Resnick foul tips it right into Miller's mitt for strike 3. Runner stranded on first base, a walk from Nav Sundar. It's still 13-1 SLO Blues as we head into the final frame of this ball game. I'd like to remind you that the 9th inning is brought to you by our friends at Educational Employees Credit Union.
Coming out to support the team tonight. Seagulls.
Ninth inning is brought to you by Educational Employees Credit Union, proudly serving the Central Coast. EECU is located in Paso Robles and can be found at myecu.org. Experience smarter banking at Educational Employees Credit Union. Brendan Comerford pops out on the first pitch he sees from Nav Sundar, and it's right to the third baseman Brewer, who replaces Sundar at the hot corner for the first out of the inning. So Comerford finishes the day 1 for 4. A single in the 7th, a strikeout swing in the 2nd. And here's Kosei Suzuki against Nav Sundar. A curveball in there for a strike against Suzuki. And it looks like Sundar might have a knuckleball in that repertoire. 0-1. And Suzuki chases it here, elevated in the zone for strike 2. Kosei, a couple of hits today. He's 2 for 4 with a sac fly as well. Pitch missing outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kosei Suzuki. Blues up 13-1 against the San Francisco Seagulls, trying to put a bow on this game. 1-2 is a fastball missing high, evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Coming off the heels of a 14-2 defeat yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends. And talked about how the Blues need a feel-good win. Well, they're trying to get that here. 2-2. Suzuki lines it to the shortstop Hodges, who makes the hop, skip, and a grab, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. Here's Brody Miller now, who came in to replace Cam Andrews. Miller flew out to Landry in right field the last time he was up. Landry playing in a little less darkness compared to Callinger in left. Hixenbaugh was hit a fly ball into that spot in the last inning. As a curveball goes 50 feet here from Sundar from ball 1. And Hixenbaugh couldn't see it at any point off the bat. Just never at any point. The lights don't go out that far at Lara Field, so behind him it's just completely dark. 1-0 is cued off the end of the bat and into the backstop for strike one. And I imagine Calliger is in the same situation. If you put it in the air to left field and deep enough, it's pretty much a base hit. And Ben Resnick thought he had a hit on that pop out to Hicksenbaugh. And I thought it landed too, but it landed into foul territory. Another 50-footer missing outside. 2 balls and a strike. Sundar trying to locate that knuckleball. 2-1. And Miller watches it here trickle into the zone for strike 2. Sundar has recorded 2 quick outs here. A pop out to third and a liner to the shortstop. It's up to Miller to break the streak. 2-2. And Brody watches a fastball high, fills it up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. The pitch. And Miller, soft pop up to the shortstop and Hodges. Nav Sundar goes 1-2-3 in the top of the 9th. Last call for the San Francisco Seagulls. The Blues ahead 13-1 on the Slow Blues streaming network. New pitcher in for the Slow Blues, trying to put a bow on a W against the San Francisco Seagulls. It's Riley Marcotte, a left-hander, making his second appearance for the Blues this summer. Last time he was out there, it was 1 inning. He allowed 4 hits and 3 earned runs, 1 strikeout and no walks. Trying to finish out the game here against SF. First pitch to Hodges is a bouncing ball to Murillo at second, who makes a nice play there and throws it over to first in time. 1 pitch, 1 out to Jalen Hodges. And now that brings up Alan Ramirez. Murillo is just so smooth at second base. And pinch hitting for Ramirez, it will be Jake Brewer.
Batting, Jake Brewer.
Brewer came in to play third base when Nav Sundar came into pitch. So it's Brewer, uncommitted after a couple seasons at Kenyatta College. First pitch and Brewer flinches and takes ball 1. Brewer, former teammates with Caden Cuccia, who's playing third base for the Blues. Second team All-Coast Conference this past season at Kenyatta. Fastball missing high and outside. 2 balls and no strikes. His past season at Kenyatta College, a .302 average, just like Caden Cuccia. .409 on base and a .442 slugging. Currently uncommitted. Here's the 2-0. And Brewer swings and misses for a strike. A violent hack at that fastball in the outer half. 2 balls and 1 strike. Brewer, a lot of credit for the good arm he has in the infield. Can play every single infield position and did so with the Colts at Kenyatta. 2-1, another hard swing and a miss here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A career 46 strikeouts to his 27 walks with the Colts. And the 5'9", 200-pound infielder stands in on the 2-2 from the windup. Fastball just missing outside. Fills up the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Seagulls down to their final 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing by 12. The payoff. Fastball taken, strike 3 on the inner half. Riley Marcotte says might as well as he throws his palms up in the air, and that's the 2nd out of the 9th inning.
Now comes to the plate, number 26, Matt Galvin.
So now we'll flip it to the top of the order. It's not Ben Koch, who was replaced in the 7th inning. It's Matt Galvin, who struck out swinging in the 7th. First pitch, and Galvin checks his swing and went around for strike 1. Galvin, an outfielder from Skagit Valley Community College, coming from up north in Canada. Playing south of the border this summer. He lines it straight back into the fence for strike 2. Seagulls down to their final strike. It's up to the 5'8", 185-pound junior from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The 0-2. Bouncing ball to the right side, and it's just foul. Matt Galvin prepped with the Okotoks Dogs Canadian summer ball team, which is the same team as former Blue Boston Warkentin. Pitched for San Luis Obispo a couple of summers ago at the University of Washington now. 0-2. Fastball just missing outside. 1 ball and 2 strike. Coming off a second-team all-conference season at Skagit Valley up in Washington in the Northwest Conference. 1-2. Swing and miss, strike 3. Brody Miller on the drop third strike, throws it over to first in time, and that's the ball game. 9:19 was the final pitch, and the Blues come away with the victory, 13-1 against the San Francisco Seagulls.
Next home game tomorrow night.
Hello, everyone.
Go
Welcome
Seagulls. Back
back inside the broadcast booth. And yes, it is very cold here. I got the hood on here at Laura Field, but a very much-needed win for San Luis Obispo. They dropped yesterday's game 14-2 against the Menlo Park Legends. A pretty big gut punch, if you ask me. Not a good way you want to start a 4-game road series. I talked about how the Blues can take a victory if they finish this series 2-2. Well, they're halfway to that mark. They're 1-1 so far and got a pair of games against the Walnut Creek Crawdads these next 2 days. The Blues attacked early and often on offense. Really, they spread the wealth all up and down the lineup, and it was really exciting to see E.J. Royal get on top of a fastball and hit it out into left field for a home run. If you think about it, if that's hit at Sinsheimer, that's probably a fly ball to left, but because of a shorter fence here in San Francisco and the wind was blowing out that way, it's a home run. Not to take anything away from that E.J. Royal homer, but it's just kind of something to notice there. Don Jordan stays hot too, an RBI double in the 2nd inning, and many players with multi-hits in today's ball game as well. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it again, Cam Andrews is the only player in this lineup to not record a base hit tonight. What I like too, you can talk about the E.J. Royal homer, the double from Gallimore. Ardois stays hot with a double as well. I want to talk about my boy Spencer Gallimore, who came in to replace Don Jordan late in this ball game in the 3-hole at DH. He went 2 for 2 in his first 2 at-bats in a Blues uniform, a primary pitcher for this team and for UC Colorado Springs, wanting to be a two-way guy too, and he's trying to prove itself here, and he did so with a pair of knocks, one of them driving in 2 runs, not high leverage runs, but it was still very cool to see Spencer Gallimore come through the clutch there. He's a great pitcher, and if he can be a good bat too, that'll be exciting for Dean Trainer's squad. The Blues kept the strikeouts to a minimum too after a game 2 games ago where they racked up so many. They got the game yesterday against the Menlo Park Legends. They bring it back down here, and the offense comes alive, and they want to take that energy into the next 2 days against the Walnut Creek Crawdads, who are the hottest team in the CCL right now. On a 4-game winning streak, they have sole possession of first place. They have overtaken the Alameda Merchants for that spot. As far as the CCL South, the Santa Barbara Foresters, to no surprise, are on a 4-game win streak as well, and they lead undefeated in the CCL South, and Royal Seco and Canale follow him on the first 3 spots. Well, the Blues come away with a much-needed 13-1 victory over the San Francisco Seagulls. That will wrap it up. Seagulls, that'll wrap it up for us from here in San Bruno, California. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 in Walnut Creek as the Blues take on the Crawdads. Thank you so much for watching on the Slow Blues Streaming Network, and thank you to everyone at Ancient Owl for tuning into this game. My name is Nate Mills, signing off from the South Bay.